Just comb your hair, go and wash your face. It's been a real long time since you've seen the light of day. So let thoughts colors they may, beauty and parade. Everybody all smiles when you're back in the seat again. All aboard the Petty Express to a beautiful darkness. It's full steam ahead to ride the rails to our next destination. Yeah!
Hey you guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and we have a little bit of a conundrum here. Now, there is a case that is starting brand new in Tampa, Florida, that is just at opening statements. Now, the particular trial that I was sent by Rosalind Duke with the thruple and the pro se inmate does have a little bit of commentary over it. It is from Court Vibes, so go give them a shout out. We'll see how this goes. I did want to let you guys try to figure out if you wanted to watch this, or we do have the Jermaine Bass case that is starting in Tampa, Florida. I have an article pulled up for it. It does involve young ones, so it is, up to you guys, but I will let you know what we're looking at with that case. Trial starts for Tampa man accused of using a force multiplier on his 2 children. Jermaine Bass allegedly, used the force multiplier accidentally in August 2022 after the mother had tucked both children in bed. Now, opening statements are slated for Monday in the trial of a Tampa father who allegedly shot his 2 children, unaliving one. Jermaine Bass, 32, was arrested and charged in 2022 after he reportedly told Hillsborough deputies that he shot his son by accident. Now, law enforcement responded to the incident on August 29th, 2022, just after 10:30 p.m., when the mother heard gunshots after she tucked the kids into bed. Upon arrival, they found Bass holding his 8-year-old son, claiming it was an accident, he told the deputies. Sheriff Chad Cronster said the boy was severely injured and the 5-year-old girl passed away after being shot in the head 3 times. Now, Bass was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder, first-degree attempted premeditated murder, and 2 counts of aggravated CA. So that is the trial that is starting in Tampa today. I might be speed watching it and doing breakdowns. It's a tragic case, and I want to give the kids attention, but I'm not sure if that's something you guys want to watch. I just noticed it on Court TV when I was pulling this other case. So it is basically up to you guys. I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a case starting, but it is a child case. It does seem full of petty and sad, but we have sovereign citizens to look at. I have boosted the sound and put up the closed captions, so let's see how this goes. And welcome everyone. Sorry, so here's my conundrum, because we do have, an opening statements. It doesn't look like a case that a lot of other people are covering. So it is up to you guys. I am not sure. Let's see. If the audio is really bad on this particular case, we might jump over there. The audio is very low on this.
Educational issues. Have there been problems with educational issues since that day?
Yes.
Tell us what they are and why you believe that's a material change in circumstances.
Joseph would refuse to bring the boys for homeschool. He would take them to visit their grandmother instead of bringing them for homeschool. He would take them on vacation, call it an educational field trip or an educational trip, and refuse to bring them back for school. He would tell me that he was going to bring them back for school whenever he got permission to travel out of state, according to our custody order. And then as soon as the boys went into his custody, he would tell me that he's not going to bring them back for school. He would bring them an hour and a half late to school. He would claim that his work schedule wouldn't allow him
This is when you need cast iron cookware. Not only good for grits, but for gentle re-education, allegedly in Minecraft. Do not mess with a kid in custody with a mama bear. I will say this courtroom is a lot nicer than the courtroom I was at. I'm getting courtroom envy.
To bring the boys to exchange for the school, but that if I wanted them to attend school, he could bring them to my driveway. He didn't have an employer at the time. He stated that our custody order does not require him to surrender his parenting time for the boys to attend homeschool. He stated that he gets to decide how our children spend their time with him during his custody time, so he would conflate homeschool time
Objection, Your
with
Honor.
having extra time with the boys.
Objection is what?
It's hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'll-
Okay. Your Honor, she's making my case look bad. That's not hearsay. You telling her something is you directly telling something to her. So it can't be hearsay. Now, if someone else told you or told her that you said that, that would be hearsay. I love these pro se ones. They're like, objection. This is hurting my case.
She's talking about you. That's what my understanding of her response is. So that can't be hearsay.
Okay.
You may completely finish your answer.
He stated that he felt the need to take full control of his court-ordered parenting time due to the ordered custody schedule, which did not give him 50 time with the boys, and therefore he was going to take more time with them during homeschool time. He stated that it was not harmful to them to miss school. He stated that he was going to keep them out of school to, quote, make up his parenting time, which was really, he hadn't missed any parenting time. He just wanted them more time than he had them under the court.
Okay, ma'am, I have a question. What did you see in this douche that made you lay down and have 2 kids with him? Now, look, I can throw no stones because, holy God, did I have many interesting male friends. But that being the case, come on now. All right, so this is pretty dry right now. What I might do is watch this and get the highlights out, but it looks like people are wanting to at least look at the Jermaine Bass case. So let's see. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. Stop. No, I don't want that. I am semi-professional. You guys are just here with me as I am being all the professional. So this is going to be a child case. This is going to be incredibly, heart-wrenching stuff, but we can at least look at the opening statements to see if it's something we're going to want to watch. Are we doing opening statements? Are we...
As it relates to the motion to support.
I don't think the jury needs to be involved in that at all. That was already litigated.
Where are the opening statements?
Computers, tablets, other types of electronic devices should be turned off while you're here in the courtroom. And I always say off means really off, not on vibrate. So when it goes off, it still annoys the person sitting next to you. And again, the reason for this is that everyone needs to have and pay 100% attention when your witnesses are testifying and other things are happening in the courtroom. So just don't let your electronic devices be a distraction for your neighbor. Of course, you cannot take photographs, video recordings, or audio recordings of these proceedings or of your fellow jurors. I'll just remind you, in every criminal proceeding, a defendant has the absolute right to remain silent. At no time is it duty of a defendant to prove his innocence. From the exercise of a defendant's right to remain silent, a jury is never permitted to draw any inference of guilt. And the fact that a defendant chose or did not choose to testify at trial cannot affect your verdict in any manner whatsoever. The attorneys here are trained in the rules of evidence and trial procedure, so it's their duty and obligation to make legal objections that they believe are proper. How that works is if an objection is made to a question that's asked, if I sustain the objection, that means the witness will not be allowed to answer that question. You shouldn't try to speculate on what the witness might have said had he or she been permitted to answer the question, or speculate about why I'm not letting you hear the answer. It's a legal determination that I've made that it's not appropriate for you to hear. If I overrule the objection, that means the witness will be allowed to answer the question, but you shouldn't hold it against the lawyers or the parties for making objections. As I said, they're doing what they believe are legally proper to preserve the record in the case. Bench conferences. During the trial, it might be necessary, as you saw us do on Friday a couple of times, to talk about matters that are not appropriate for you to hear. We try to do that as seldom as possible. We try to do it up here at the bench in a little bench conference.
I do like that she is explaining these things. Again, when you go into jury kind of, trial phase, most people are very, very confused about what's going on. It's a whole nother world. It almost has its own language. So her explaining kind of the customs, what's going on and going to go on in the court, I think is really good. I do like judges that do that, that really explain. And she's not talking down to them, because some judges act like you are at the third grade level.
But the purpose of a bench conference is that you not hear what we're discussing. We are electronically enhanced, and there's speakers above your jury box. So if you are overhearing what's happening up here, there'll always be a bailiff close to you by that door. Let him or her know so that we can adjust our volume up here. Note taking. If you would like to take notes during the trial, you're welcome to. Of course, you are not required to take notes. A few things about note taking for your convenience. I think I see some of them on your laps. We have a plastic sort of container with a notepad and a writing utensil of some sort in there if you'd like to use them. First, please don't become so consumed with taking notes that you forget to listen to the next question or answer that's coming along after that. Sometimes when we're furiously writing, we kind of tune out what's happening, so be careful about that. Secondly, if one of you is a way better note taker than everyone else, that does not mean he or she becomes the official court reporter once you get into the jury room.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. As a person who obsessively and chronically takes notes, and I do mean I have self-diagnosed myself with hypergraphia. Like, I just write notes like it's going out of style. I think for my 4-hour trial, I had 47 notes of pages, or pages of notes. Now, most of my notes end up being, wow, she has angry eyebrows, or what a douche. But I do manage to write down pertinent information as well. I just hope no one read my notes, because yikes, I thought I was going to be able to keep those. Apparently not.
Sometimes people jot things down wrong, so just because it's in the notes of one of your peers, if you have a different memory, I'm going to ask you to rely on your own independent memories. That's why you've been individually chosen as jurors in the first place. Additionally, rest assured that the notes are for your use and your use alone. The bailiffs keep them secured while you're not using them. They do not become a part of this record. The lawyers do not read them. I do not read them. I'm actually required by law to shred them at the conclusion of the trial. So just rest assured that they're your private notes for your use. As I said, we will take recesses during the course of the trial. Sometimes my idea of when a recess should occur might vary from when your idea of a recess should occur. So if that happens, try to get the attention of one of the bailiffs sitting next to me so he or she can know, or try to let me know to take a recess when appropriate. Again, this is a serious matter. There's a lot of information coming at you, and the average attention span of a human being is something like 15 minutes. And we don't take breaks every 15 minutes. So if you just need a comfort break, or just a break to get out of the courtroom and get out of the intensity of what's happening here, and just need a break of that sort, please feel free to let us know that. You're not interrupting the proceedings. You're not doing anything wrong. It's not as formal as it appears on TV. We'd all rather have you comfortable and attentive.
I like this judge. I really like her. I like that she is, really comforting them. If you need to take a break, if this gets too much, especially in a case involving children, I think that she's a good judge to have. Very, kind of maternal almost, and reassuring, because I can tell you as a juror, you do kind of feel a bit insignificant almost. I mean, you're just a normal person. Denise, I am going to have to look into this. I literally saw this starting and kind of looked into a little bit of the background, but I don't know too much. We just saw, or we decided, I think, that we're going to look at the opening statements, see if it's a case we want to continue to follow. If not, there is a bajillion sovereign citizen things that we can watch. I just saw that we actually were going to be able to start a case on time. And I was like, holy cow, we could probably do this. It is unfortunately involving a young girl who lost her life. This is not going to be an easy case, but you know, if this is what the Petty Express is, covering cases that are hard, so we have a place where we can, you know, watch these hard cases, give these victims a voice, and comfort each other, then by all means, let that be the Petty Express's, you know, main thing. So here we go. Let's see how the opening statements are, and I will try not to pause every 5 seconds.
Rather than uncomfortable or needing to get out of here and feeling like you're not being able to. Additionally, I have jurors ask all the time, can we ask questions as jurors of the witnesses? That answer is no. The state has the burden of proof, so the questions that are required to be asked need to come from the state, and we don't allow jurors to assist in that endeavor. However, if it's something that you just missed.
So I will say this differs from state to state. There are several states, including Indiana, in which the jury can ask questions of the witness. So what typically happens is if we would have a question of a witness, we would write it down. The judge and the lawyers would confab to see if it was a question within the scope of what we could ask. If it was, then we would ask one of the lawyers would ask a question, and then the judge would turn to us and say, is there anything else? If we had anything else, we would write that down, same thing. So that is common in Indiana, and I want to say Michigan. There are several states.
Like you didn't hear it the first time around, or the witnesses are mumbling and the volume is bad or something like that. Please feel free to wave your hand and just shout out, repeat that, or say that again, or get the bailiff to let us know that you just need something repeated. In ordinary life, we are able to turn to our friend and say, hey, did that witness say blue or green? But I've told you cannot do that. So it's important that you get it the first time around. So if you just miss something because of the activities in the courtroom and you just need something repeated, please feel free to interrupt us to do that. So I think that's it from me. Any logistical questions before we get started? Everybody good to go? All right. Stay prepared to make an opening statement.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
The gun discharged. It was an accidental discharge. I was trying to take out the magazine and it went off. They was both in bed. I was in their room. Where was your wife? She was in her room. Those are the words, ladies and gentlemen, of that man seated right over there, Jermaine Bass. Those were the words he told those deputies when they arrived and found these children shot in the head. That was his explanation to them of why 2 children were shot in the head. Accident discharge. I was trying.
All right, I'm trying to be open-minded, but I call super-de-duper bullshit. I call bullshit squared. Now, I have not been to the range in a great many eons, and I need to go back. But as a responsible force multiplier, alleged owner, possibly, yeah, that they don't misfire like that. This is not True Lies where the force multiplier rolls down the stairs and continues firing. I don't know what his defense is going to say, but good luck.
To take out the magazine and it went off. That was his explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see this was no accident. This was not an accident. You're also going to hear he will tell them where the gun is. In the dresser, upstairs, a silver dresser. You're going to hear him tell them. And sure enough, they go there, they find that gun. And ladies and gentlemen, that gun is the murder weapon. That is the gun that fired the bullets into Jayla Bass and killed her. And the evidence is going to show that. He told them right where that gun was, right next to his wallet.
Yeah, so here's again where I'm having a lot of problems with this. If something tragic were to happen and there was an accident, I don't think I would care where the force multiplier was. I don't think you could take that child from my hands. I wouldn't have moved it or put it anywhere. This is not good news for Mr. Jermaine. I mean, this is looking awful, but let's keep an open mind because maybe his defense has something. And the state has to prove everything that they're saying. So they have to prove that the gun did not misfire, that, you know, there wasn't any issue with the magazine, that kind of thing.
You will not only hear these things, you will see him say these things to the deputies when they arrive on scene. You're going to hear from some of the responding deputies that arrived. These deputies wear what are called body-worn cameras. These cameras capture interactions with citizens, interactions during events. They come on generally when they're responding to a scene. They're not on all the time, but they come on when they're responding to a scene. And these came on for some of these deputies. So you are going to see Jermaine Bass that night. You're going to hear his explanation to the deputies of how both his children ended up shot in the head. What you will not hear from him are any questions about how is his daughter doing? How is his son doing?
Sustained.
You will never hear him say it was anyone else other than it was an accidental discharge while I was taking out the magazine. That's what you will hear. But the evidence will show you, ladies and gentlemen, this was no accidental discharge. 5 shots from that Glock. 4 hit their target. 3 of them went into the head of Jayla Bass, his daughter, his 5-year-old daughter, as she lay in the bed right next to her brother, who was also shot in the head, in the temple. These were aimed.
Yeah, no, you don't get a force multiplier to the temple accidentally. Sir, I am waiting for the defense because I am gathering that it is going to be a holy pile of excrement that even, you know, the most deified cow in India could not happen to, you know, stomach. What is this defense going to say? You accidentally... This is from Tampa. And this incident happened in August 2022. I don't know what in the actual Schnell the defense is going to say, but this is going to be a quick trial. Because kind of over here on the guilty train already. But then I remember I'm not a juror, so I get to make all the assumptions I want.
They were precise. They were targeted right to the most
Yes, Hillsborough
crucial part
County.
of the body, the head. 5 shots, 4 in the head. That's what the evidence is going to show you, ladies and gentlemen. On August 29th of 2022, this defendant right here walked into that bedroom where these 2 little children were laying in their bed, and he shot 5 times into their heads. Why this man?
His blink rate is amazing. Now, I can imagine that his anxiety is off the charts, but he does not look sympathetic. He looks rather scary. He does look scary. He does look almost simmering rage. So this is going to be an interesting case to see how the defense, if the defense can soften or get any sympathy for this man. I think they're pushing an uphill battle just like Megan Boswell. You don't mess with kids, and you don't get sympathy when you mess with kids. So I think we're going to be on an uphill battle. Yeah.
Would take the life of his 5-year-old daughter, Jayla Bass, and attempt to take the life of his 8-year-old son, Jermaine Bass, we may not know. We may never know. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, I told you during voir dire that we don't have to prove motive. But ladies and gentlemen, you will hear some evidence. You will hear some evidence that something was not right in the Bass household. Something was not going right there. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is going to show you that this house involved Jermaine Bass, who lived there with his wife, Shirley Bass, and their daughter, Jayla, and the son, Jermaine, as well. And it might get a little confusing, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to probably call the son JJ. That's kind of the nickname they gave him, because both the son and father are both named Jermaine Bass, and there's no like junior or anything like that. So if you hear me from time to time use the word JJ, I'm referring to the son. So on this date, on August 29th of 2022, you're going to hear that Shirley Bass, the wife, went by herself to a birthday dinner for her sister. You're going to hear that that evening she left around 6 o'clock. She drove down, and where this happened is on Heritage Club. And I believe I told you about this during voir dire. This is an area up near USF. It's up near the Advent Hospital up there on Bruce B. Downs in Fletcher. Right kind of behind there, back in the little neighborhood there. And these are like townhomes that they lived in, okay? It's got an upstairs where the children's bedroom is, and there's a downstairs where it's kind of the kitchen and like a kind of a great room. And you're gonna hear that she left at 6. In fact, you'll see video of her car, her white Mercedes pulling out and heading towards Ruth's Chris Steakhouse down on West Shore. Okay, so she had to go all the way down Fletcher, get on 275, go.
Ruth Chris, we're getting some rolls and some steak. I'm going to Ruth Chris. I love that place. It's way too expensive. I've only been there on one date, and my date encouraged me to try oysters. Not a fan, but it was very, very fancy. Now, I'm a little country, so give me a Texas Roadhouse with a bunch of them rolls, and I'm happy. And a bloomin' onion and one of them giant margaritas. It doesn't have to be fancy for me, but Ruth Chris is a great place to go for your birthday if you want to spend some money and feel fancy. But for me, you know, just give me one of those giant old margaritas that's like 8,000 calories and covered in sugar and a bloomin' onion, and I'm happy as a clam.
Go all the way down to West Shore, if y'all are familiar with the area, and then go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, where she was meeting the family for a celebration dinner for her sister. You're going to hear from some people who were at that dinner, and they will tell you Shirley was happy, everything seemed fine. Shirley goes there that night with her niece, China Gadsden, and you're going to hear from China Gadsden as well. All right? She's going to tell you that they were having a wonderful time. As Shirley went, and they had dinner, and everyone was getting along very well. Jermaine was not there. He was supposed to be home taking care of the kids. But he was not home taking care of the kids. The evidence is going to show that he left those kids, drove all the way to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Basically followed Shirley Bass. Why? You don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But he did. The phone records will conclusively show that he left. We also have video of his Nissan truck pulling out and leaving that residence, not long after Shirley leaves. You're going to hear from China that when they were driving away, as they were leaving Ruth's Chris, there was this truck behind her that was really driving aggressively and scaring her. She didn't know what was going on. It's tailgating her. So just as she's pulling onto the on-ramp to get on the interstate, this truck is right on her tail, and she's scared. So she stops the car. This truck pulls around her and stops in front. And who gets out of that car? Jermaine Bass. Gets out of that car angry and goes up to the driver's door, thinking that it would be his wife in the driver's seat, but it was China. So he looks at his wife and says, "Are you drunk?" He then goes back into his car and drives away.
Yeah, I'm with you, Old Line Red. Are we going to get any sort of confirmation, or does that go into maybe a DV background that they aren't allowed to talk to unless the door is opened? I'm wondering that. I'm wondering if, there's motions in limine that are keeping past bad acts in. Again, I haven't thoroughly researched this case, but this sounds like he's trying to dance around things that he might not be able to get into right now.
Don't know why that was, but it's clear, ladies and gentlemen, there was some problems going on in that household. There was evidence to show that there was something going on in that household. And Jermaine Bass, the defendant here, was not happy about it. So you're going to hear that they drive home. Shirley drops off China at her house, which she lived up in that same sort of area. And she goes home. And you're going to see video from an apartment complex. In this video is part of it shows the parking lot area in front of the residence where Shirley and Jermaine lived. And you're going to see the defendant pull in this big truck, park the truck, go inside. A few minutes later, you're going to see Shirley's car pull up. She's going to park the car, and then she goes in. Less than 8 minutes later, you're going to see Shirley Bass outside, looking for help, frantic. Shots had rang out. Just a few minutes from coming home from this dinner to celebrate her sister. Shots. Those are the shots that killed Jayla. It seriously hurt Jermaine, JJ. You're going to see video of her out there walking around, looking for help. You're going to hear from one of her neighbors, Daquan Evans, who's going to tell you that he heard these shots. It woke him up. So he walks outside and he sees Shirley Bass. And he's on the phone calling 911 and letting them know, "I've heard shots in my neighborhood." And you're going to hear that 911 call. And you will hear Daquan Evans, and then you will hear Shirley get on that phone call. You're going to hear a woman who's frantic, hysterical. It's a very difficult, hard to understand conversation. But you're going to hear her screaming, "My family, you need to get down here. I need help." And she's on that phone with 911. Is the defendant calling 911? No, but you're going to hear evidence that he called another number. After shooting these children, he calls another number, doesn't even call 911. So Shirley's out there, and you're going to hear the whole 911 call. It'll go into evidence. You will have it back there to listen to when you go back and deliberate later in this trial. And you're going to hear that around the 2-minute mark, 2:40 minutes, 2 minutes, 2:40, something changes in Shirley Bass. And based on the video you're going to see of her out there on the phone when she's talking to 911, and at one point she starts jumping. But you're going to see that the door opens up to the house of Shirley and Jermaine, and she walks over there. And right about that time, you're going to hear Shirley Bass on that phone screaming at somebody, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" She's yelling at that man right there, Jermaine Bass.
That 911 call is going to be
She knows what
wild.
he's done, but she knows he's done something. She screams, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" She says it a couple of times. So you're going to hear that 911 call.
I'm wondering if he called a side chick. Again, this seems like a lot of domestic, maybe history is involved that can't come in unless the defense opens the door. So it sounds like there's a lot of things that were done in limine in this case, because it definitely seems like there's stuff that he's not filling in that would make you wonder. So I bet the jury is kind of like, I wonder if we're actually going to hear these things, because I am interested if there was a long history of DV or things like that, or this was an escalation, or was this a snap out of the blue thing?
On that night, and then after that 911 call, the deputies arrive. And this is where you'll see what the deputies see when they get there. You're going to get to see it. Because this body-worn camera, it's going to take you into the house. It's going to take you into the apartment. And you're going to see how they walk in there. You're going to see Jermaine Bass holding JJ. And JJ's got a bullet hole to his head. He's still coherent. He's still alive. And he's in pain because he's saying, ow, my head. And Jermaine's just holding him.
Okay, I'm kind of with the, like, if we're on the jury now, can we just say all the guilty? I mean, hearing this little boy being held by his father, screaming, ow, like, just watch your ears, y'all. Lord Chippy is coming. Lord Chippy has been summoned. Because I can't imagine that little boy was asleep, like probably dead asleep, dreaming about Power Rangers or whatever it is, Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know what's cool today. As you can plainly see. Then to be injured by his father and then held as a human shield. At this point, I don't know if they didn't offer a plea deal, but sir, you have such an uphill battle that it is impossible. And people haven't even, like, there's no way. You have got to be kidding me. Thank you, Wolfram. Yeah, this, again, defense, I'm ready for you to dazzle me, but unless you have, Johnny Cochran's ghost, I don't know what you're going to do.
And they ask him, is there anyone else here? He says, no. So these deputies are clearing the house. And they do what they do when they come into a house and they don't know the situation. They want to make sure they know where everyone is. So they go and check out the rooms, make sure they clear the rooms. And they're going to tell you all about that. That's when they go upstairs and they go into the child's room. And suddenly one of them
Freudian
notices
slip.
it's a little girl. And you're going to hear her. You're going to hear the moment you notice her. And you're going to hear him go, sweetie. And you will see from the body-worn camera, the deputy reach over to take her off that bed. And he will tell you how he takes her off the bed and brings her down, and they try to administer life-saving support for her, but it's too late.
God bless our first responders. My soul would be broken if I walked into this. And they walk into this on a daily basis. Maybe not this, maybe not, to this extent, but I can't imagine the toll it takes on your soul to, go into a line of work, to be a protector, to be a safe place, to be someone that is a shield, and be too late and have it be a baby, a child. I hope that they are getting the help they need, because I can't imagine the mental load and the pain on your soul that would cause. That's going to be heartbreaking. I'm going to cry. I'm going to have my toilet roll Kleenex over here, because I'm all hillbilly, but I will be crying.
Wait. But you will see her position. You will see her curled in that bed with blood all around her. This is what those deputies saw on that day. So they take her out. They take Jermaine away. The ambulance arrives and they get him out of there. And then you're going to see the defendant calmly telling him those things that I told you. I was unloading the magazine and it went off.
5 times. Sure, Jan.
So at this point, they start to collect the physical evidence, and this is where you're going to see all the physical evidence that was collected in this case. You're going to see the shell casings, 5 shell casings that belong to a .380 Glock. All 5 shell casings were found on the bed, the bunk bed in the room. This is a bunk bed. 4 of the casings are found in the top bunk, 1 of the casings is found in the bottom bunk. So again, this is a crime scene. Children have been removed to hopefully save them. And now they are securing the crime scene and they're reviewing all the evidence. And this is what they find. They find damage hole to one of the walls where a bullet clearly went through. And you're going to see that it did go through and it goes into the bathroom and the adjoining bathroom and it goes through that bathroom and into the wall. And they were able to obtain that projectile. You're going to see pictures of the condition of the residence at that time. You're going to see pictures of a lot of blood. And I want to warn you that you will, okay? But it's important that you pay attention to those pictures and look at those pictures.
I like that he's saying this. I think it's good when the lawyers acknowledge, and I have noticed when there are children involved or it's a particularly bad case, that the lawyers do try to warn the jury, and I think that is respectful and kind of gives them a little bit of a, yeah, this is going to be tough, but we're asking you to do this job. I like this. I like the way the lawyers, or at least this lawyer and the judge, are handling themselves in regard to the jury and kind of ushering them into this world where they're going to have to show them horrible things. And these jurors have the most important job of sifting through all of this evidence and figuring out whether this man is guilty or innocent.
You're going to hear from a DNA expert. The Glock is found exactly where the defendant said it would be, in the silver dresser, right next to his wallet. And that Glock is taken out. It's looked at. The magazine in it is now empty. There's no other ammunition in the Glock. And they take that Glock in, and it gets analyzed. The comparison is done with the shell casings, and yes, they match those shell casings found in the room.
Okay, question for my force multiplier friends who are much more knowledgeable than me. How many are in a typical magazine for a Glock? Is 5 or 6 like there? I thought it would be 10 or something. Anywho, that's just a question for the chat since I am not as knowledgeable. I thought it went up to 20 though. I could be very wrong.
Were in fact fired from that firearm. And you're going to have the firearms expert who's going to testify to you and explain to you how they know that. You're also hear that the gun was swabbed. And what that means is they take like a solution or water and they rub it on the gun in different areas. To
Thank you,
determine whether
Wolfram.
they pick up any DNA. And you're going to hear that on the grip and trigger, it's combined, so we don't know if it's both or so. But on the grip / trigger, as well as on the base of the gun where the magazine is put in, they're able to obtain DNA. And the DNA does match, in fact, Jermaine Bass. But there's one other source of the DNA, and you're going to hear that it matches the son, JJ, the other Jermaine Bass. Now, I want you to listen to that expert, and she's going to testify to you, and she's also explain to you about transfer DNA and how that occurs. If you touch someone, and they're sweating, or their skin cells get on you, and then you touch an object, you can transfer that person's DNA. Any bodily fluid can transfer the DNA to that product. And you're going to hear from that DNA expert who's going to explain all that to you. You're also going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, from a lady by the name of Anna Cox, who's what's called a blood spatter expert, or blood stain expert. She's going to tell you and talk to you about those pictures and the blood analysis that she shows. What she will tell you is that both of these children were shot right next to each other. That their heads literally had to be almost touching. You're going to hear about what's called blood spatter, but it's where when a person is shot, the blood, once a bullet enters, has to expel from the body. And when it does, it creates a pattern. She's going to explain all that to you. And you're going to hear that the only place that pattern appears is on that top bunk, on the corner, by the wall, and on the railing there. The DNA on that spot matches the DNA of Jayla Bass and JJ, Jermaine Bass. She's going to tell you they were right next to each other when they were shot. The last moments of Jayla's life was laying in that bed next to her big brother. You're going to hear about other blood. Their blood drips down from the bed to the lower bunk bed, creating other patterns that she's going to describe all that to you. Ladies and gentlemen, her father, the owner of that gun, wanted these deputies to believe this was an accident.
Was he eating lead paint at the time? Had he chowed down on, I don't know, whippets to the point that he fried his brain? I mean, you and Sarah Boone, this whole accident thing is getting stretched a little thin, isn't it?
Overruled.
That is what he told them. In those initial moments when the deputies arrived, that's what he tells them. This was an accident. An accidental discharge of 5 rounds. This isn't an automatic gun where you hold it down and it just fires repeatedly. You're going to hear from the firearms expert, every single one of those 5 shots had to pull that trigger. Every single one. Not that
And
you
we have
hold
a
it down,
poll
it'll
up.
go off.
So, accident or bullshit, do I look stupid? After the opening, what are we thinking?
You're going to hear from this firearms expert. This was no accident, ladies and gentlemen. Not even close. This was a deliberate, intentional, premeditated act to kill those 2 children. Done by that man right there, Jermaine Bass. The state has no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion of the evidence in this case, that you will find the defendant guilty as charged of first-degree murder, guilty as charged of aggravated child abuse, 2 counts, and guilty as charged of attempted first-degree murder. Thank you.
I will say I liked this opening statement. I liked that you could kind of tell how absolutely pissed off he was that, you know, a child lost her life, an innocent baby lost her life, and her big brother is probably medically handicapped for the rest of his life, plus scarred from all of this. So I do like when you can hear the emotion, but he didn't try to go, you know, pull on your heartstrings as much as some other lawyers have done. And I think it was short, to the point, and got all the facts in. So now I'm just going to see what the defense does, because I have no idea how you defend this case. Y'all, I'd be like, the state has to prove everything.
Would the defense like to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, I've got my new notebook, so let's see what the defense has. Because I want to just write
Morning.
bullshit, but
Jermaine Bass, my client, did not shoot his children. It
okay.
happened on a
Ma'am, you are a lawyer. You look unkempt. Normally, I don't comment on people's... Look, I have been fluffy my entire life. I am always in a state of semi to deflating fluffy. It's my body, I get it. But there are ways to dress your body style where you don't look like the Kool-Aid man and wearing your daughter's shirt. You are defending a man's life. Could you just try? Anywho, I'm just saying there are ways to dress your body if you have different body styles that look nice, complement the body that you have, and aren't frumpy. She looks like she just rolled out of bed. And again, you're defending a man's life. I normally harp on, but it looks very unkempt. In my opinion. Okay. Also, I'm predisposed to not like this guy because, you know, kids involved. But Okay. Anywho. Sorry. It bothers me because I know I've had struggles with dressing my body when it's different sizes. And there are ways to dress that you look, more appropriate, professional, put together than that. And I know it's difficult when you're not like a typical size to find good clothes, but we have so many options now. And you're a lawyer, and what the hell are you doing wearing shoulder pads? You have the shoulders of a linebacker from the '84 Bears. I'm there, ma'am. I have them too. I cut out shoulder pads. You're welcome.
August 29, 2022 was tragic. And you're going to hear a lot of testimony about what happened on that day. And a lot we are not going to be in dispute about with the state. Where it happened, what time it happened, how many shots were fired, things of that nature. You're going to see that there's not a lot that we're going to be disputing about. But the most important part, we are. Who was responsible? Who fired the gun that injured Jayla and JJ Bass? You're going to hear the evidence.
Tell me they're going Jody ninjas. Come on, Canton Mafia. Who did it? Let me get Miss Cleo. The DNA only has Jermaine, but it was totally not him. Oh my God. This chick. I mean, maybe there's DNA. Maybe there's DNA. Maybe I'm being too harsh. But the petty train has started, and we are rolling.
Because as the judge instructed you, what we say is not evidence. The evidence you're going to hear from the witness stand and from the exhibits in this case. And when you hear the evidence, pay close attention to the timeline of the events. When Shirley calls 911 and you're going to hear that call, she is not asking for police. She's asking for an ambulance. She's asking for medical help repeatedly. And you
Medical procedure, EMS procedure, is not to be able to go to a crime scene or a scene that is active until the police have secured it. So even if she did call them for medical, she would still need police. EMTs are not allowed to go on a scene until it is secured. So this line of argument is redonkulous.
will hear it for yourself. Mr. Terry stood up here and said that he wants you to believe that it's an accident, but pay attention to what Shirley says as well about what happened. The 911 operator is continuously asking her, who fired the gun? Did somebody drive by? And pay attention to what her answers are close in time to the events. When police start their investigation, pay attention to who the police are able to talk to right away and who they have to wait to speak to. This story about Jermaine on the highway with China Gadsden and Shirley Bass doesn't come to police attention until over a year after the incident.
Okay, that is sus. I'll give you that.
Pay attention to who's cooperating. You'll hear from the lead detective in the case and the efforts that he made to speak to Jermaine, to JJ, and to speak to Shirley about what happened. You'll hear, obviously, that after this happened and JJ was injured, he was in the hospital for a while. And then they made efforts to speak to him once he was released. You'll hear from Detective Gabbott that Shirley was uncooperative when they tried to interview her son. That they were not able to.
I can understand that. I can absolutely understand that, especially as a parent who knows that their child just gone through the trauma of losing their sister. Their father was the one responsible. And, you know, he is recovering medically from a gunshot wound to the head. Yes, I would go full mama bear mode, and unless you have a trained child psychologist, fully vetted, to deal with trauma and interrogating my child, that would be a hell no. I am not putting them through one more torturous thing for you. They have evidence. I get this as a mom. I would not, unless I could confirm that my child was going to be mentally okay having to relive this with you guys. So yeah, I can understand the uncooperative. Again, it's being shaded through the lens of the defense, so it will be up to the lead detective when he testifies. I'll pay attention to see how, the family interacted and if it was more of a protective child thing or like the defense is purporting a get your stories straight thing. I still think that it's rather reasonable. I would have many questions before they question my child, and I would not cooperate unless, certain safeguards were in place.
To investigate her phone because she never turned it over to law enforcement for them to look at any kind of communications that were happening that night. Shirley does not call 911 from her phone. She goes across, and the phone that she is using to dial 911 is Mr. Evans' phone, an across the street neighbor. You're going to hear that Detective Gabot had difficulty reaching out to Shirley, that they made efforts to interview JJ at the Mary Lee House. And the Mary Lee House is a location where law enforcement routinely interviews children because they're treated differently than an adult witness. And you'll hear that the first time they set it up, Shirley came, but then refused to let the interview happen. Then they tried again that afternoon, and you'll hear that JJ was disruptive, that he refused, that he walked away, and he didn't talk to them. They tried to set it up again on a later date, and he did not appear.
How old was he? Sorry, the accident, 5-year-old. He was 8. He was 8. He just lost his sister. He saw his father basically he was used as a human shield. Absolutely, he's probably not thinking about this. He is probably his brain won't let him think about this. I mean, that's huge and a god-awful amount of trauma for an adult. I could imagine he doesn't want to talk about this ever because talking about it makes it real. And you can run for 17 years and not talk about it. Believe me, I've tried. But once you start talking about it, it's real and you have to feel all those feelings. So I get it. And don't y'all have enough evidence that you don't have to bother the victim?
Finally, detectives had to serve Shirley with an investigative subpoena. They tried to get her to cooperate voluntarily, but then they were trying to force it. An investigative subpoena is not an invitation, it's a demand. So she brings him in. And when they do, he says that he does not remember what happened on that night. And that's where we're left. You're not going to hear from JJ because the state and the defense, agree that if he was to come in, all he would say is that he doesn't remember what happened that night.
Okay, this is the first time that I'll say thank you, defense. Thank you, defense and state, for not parading this young child before us. And defense, I don't like this, attacking the wife, attacking the victim. I will tell you, and it's in nowhere near the same sphere, but when I broke my ankle in my neighborhood, I laugh when I get hurt. I don't know, don't ask. Psychologists would have a field day with me. But I was laughing and shaking so hard that it took me about 4 minutes to actually push Mr. Mo's number, and he's in my speed dial. I couldn't remember the code for my phone. I've had the same code for like 11 years. So when you are full of adrenaline, when you are panicked, you do things. You could have your phone right next to you, still run to the payphone because, that's just what your brain does on adrenaline. It doesn't make sense. I don't like that she is not focusing on his actions and how it's a, it was an accident. Maybe she's going to get there. I do find it a little sus that some stories didn't come out until later, but there is so much shame. I can imagine that his wife carries the guilt of making the wrong choice and the consequences of whatever happened that day that pushed him over or whatever when it wasn't his fault. Okay, awkward. This attorney's wife was the chief assistant state attorney from 2005 to 25. She took a leadership role with the public defender's office in January 2025. Interesting. I just don't think it's ever a good look when the defense attacks, people involved in the case. But I get why they have to do it. It's kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't, because you want to put things out there, but it does look like shifting the blame. And you have to do it in it's threading a needle. You have to be so precise, and it's just not a good look.
So you're not going to hear from him. My client was cooperative with law enforcement. You're going to see how he brings his son down from the bedroom after his son is injured and is waiting downstairs while Shirley goes and calls 911 to get an ambulance to help him. He stays with his son. You'll see the interaction that he has with law enforcement. And pay attention to the evidence and the investigation that's done at the scene. As Mr. Terry told you, there's blood evidence at the scene. There's testing that's done. There's additional testing that is done because it's confusing. Children were moved. And so there's a question as to where things happen. And so the additional testing that was done in this case helps give you a clearer picture of what happened in that room. You'll see a purse that was found in the children's room that belonged to Shirley that has ammunition in it, and a holster, and a magazine. You'll also see an empty holster and a child's bassinet that's in the kid's bedroom, along with a little plate that has some eaten food on it. Pay attention to the inconsistencies in the testimony and the evidence. Listen not only to the answers that the witnesses say when the state asks questions, but also when we ask questions.
That is a good point to point out. I think that you do always see, sometimes people switch their answers, become uncooperative with the, opposite side attorney. So I do want to see how attitudes change. I'm not going to judge the mom if she gives this attorney, all the hell. But other people, I will see how they act. Again, the defense is throwing up that it looks like Shirley was not as cooperative. I do kind of understand that, but we will wait to see, what is going on. It is a bit of a bombshell that Shirley did have a holster and ammunition in her purse. But if you're a concealed carry licensed person, that's not out of the realm of normal. Come to Indiana, I think 99% of us are packing, or at least 98%. I don't know. We haven't done a census in a while.
There'll be different versions told by the witnesses and the evidence in the case. Listen with a critical ear. Use your discernment and your common sense in this case. Pay attention to where everyone is when shots are fired, what they saw and what they heard. The gun that was recovered in the master bedroom and the dresser, the testing that was done on the scene. And as the state told you, you're going to hear that not only was Jermaine, my client's DNA on the gun, but JJ's gun. And pay attention to why that area is swabbed. There's different areas that are swabbed, and the grip and the trigger are swabbed to determine who's handling the gun. That's why those areas are swabbed. And JJ's DNA is on that gun.
He was right there, is what I'm guessing. And if he flailed around or tried to stop his father, I'm sure his hands went directly to the force multiplier. So they're blaming the son. This is. Oh, can we get to 3 hours yet? I have a Kersey Kahunti moment coming.
In the end, you're going to have more questions in this case than answers. The state is going to try very hard, as you heard in opening statement, to try to convince you that my client shot his children that night. What they say is not evidence in the case or the true facts. The evidence comes from the witnesses, and you all were selected to determine what the true facts are in this case. Your job is the toughest job in this room. You have to determine what happened on a day that you were not there with people that you do not know. And it's going to be
Stay by the mic.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be emotional testimony, but you were picked for a reason. You agreed not to base your decision on sympathy or bias. You agreed to hold the state to their burden in this case. And you agreed to presume my client innocent. As difficult as
I
it
made
might
no such
be,
agreement.
that is your job as a juror. What happened on that day is very tragic and sad, but my client did not shoot his children.
Okay, so for that to have had impact, what she should have said is what happened that day was tragic. But my client is going to prove that he didn't pull the trigger. You need to have a pause. You need to give that situation space. You need to actually show that you give it some reverence of the loss that happened, and then you move forward. That short pause made it seem like it was a comma, when it's really a semicolon. You take a longer pause. It's not the end of a sentence, but it definitely is a pause, because that is tragic. And then you go on to something else. She is definitely she's getting a lot of points across. I just think that she's saying all the right words. It's just very ham-fisted. It's very blunt. She's not a scalpel, she's a hammer, if that makes sense.
You will understand why he said what he said to police. At the end of the case, after listening to all the evidence and the law, you will agree and find Jermaine Bass not guilty. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
interestingly,
Thank you for calling our first witness.
so I didn't hear anything about a misfire. I don't know if that's something that they are going to try to now push onto JJ as he was, fiddling with the force multiplier. I don't know, but his statement to the police was that it was an accident and a misfire. I did not hear that come from the defense. I heard a lot of susness about, the wife and sort of cooperation with the police, and possibly that the children were moved during the crime, but not anything about there being a, mechanical problem with the force multiplier. Holy God, what the hell are they doing?
Raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
I wonder if they're starting with the mother. This is probably going to be really intense testimony if it is.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
If you would, please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
I'm Rebecca McLeman, MacLeman, and I'm the 911 records custodian for Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
All right, thank you, McLemin. Ms. McLemin, I was just about to ask you, what do you do? And what are the jobs and duties of a records custodian of 911 at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I save all calls as requested.
Okay. And is that part of your regular course of business, what you do is routinely?
It is.
Okay. And explain to the jury if you can how these 911 calls are recorded, how they come in and all of that.
They're recorded automatically from the time that the call is answered and then end when the call is disconnected. In that call, we get all kinds of information, date, time, call taker, location, phone number, address, and any other information that we may gain from that.
Now, you're not the one who's answering these phones. You're just in charge of recording them, correct?
Now, yes.
Now, okay, but there was a time when you did that?
Yes.
Portion. Okay. Have you had an opportunity to listen to a recording in this particular case?
Yes,
All right. And was that recording regularly kept in the course of business at your work?
it was.
All right. And I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1 for identification. You recognize that?
I do.
All right. And is this the actual recording you listened to?
It is.
And is this a true, in fact, recording of the 911 call that was taken on that day, August 29th of 2022?
It is.
Judge, move to publish this at this time?
Sure.
It is so dark in that courtroom. Looks like she's on a black screen. Just, wow. Her hair is lovely. Now, I do think that we are probably going to hear the 911 call, so it is probably going to be loud. It is probably going to be emotional. So just a fair warning that we are probably going to get ready to hear that, and it's not going to be an easy listen. So take care of yourself. If you need to take breaks or not watch this trial at all, I never want clicks if it's going to bother you emotionally. I love that this court also struggles with tech.
Okay, you know what? Okay, you know what area it's coming from? Like, is it coming from 137?
Monday, August 29, 2022, 22:33 and 42 seconds.
911, you need police, fire, or medical?
Hey, how you doing? It's an emergency out there. It's some gunshots in my neighborhood.
Okay, let's.
13915 American Heritage Club Drive, Hampton, Florida.
This is a house, a home, or apartment?
An apartment I heard outside.
Okay, how many shots are there?
I heard a couple, but a lady downstairs said something bad is happening. I don't know. I just heard gunshots. I did.
Okay, do you know what area it's coming from? Like, is it coming from 137, 42nd, any specific area?
No, just in the neighborhood.
Okay. How long ago did you hear?
Just like 2 minutes ago.
Okay. No, after you heard the shot, did you see or hear anything else suspicious? Somebody screaming, a car that sped off really quickly, anything like that?
Yeah, she out here right now.
Okay. Do you want to put her on the phone?
Yeah. You want to be on the phone? Yeah.
Sheriff's office, can you tell me what happened? Okay, what happened? Yes, I'm getting them on the phone, okay? What happened? Okay, hold on, ma'am, I can't understand a word you're saying because you're crying. Okay, ma'am, hold on. Take a PD press. I can't understand you when you're crying like that. Like a PD press. What happened?
Listen, I didn't need you to something, whatever for that, just say, just please.
What happened? I have to call it. What happened? Did somebody get shot?
Someone shot, well, that's the whole family.
Someone shot who?
Oh, family, just come to me. You please just go. Can you please just go? Can you please just go?
Yes, take a PD press. Ma'am, listen, stop, ma'am.
I can't.
Okay, holy flippin' flapjacks. Do they do an emotional test for 911 operators? I have only got, this is not being played at a higher speed. I have it on regular. She sounds incredibly distressed and almost that sort of hyperactive, hyperventilating kind of feedback loop that you get in an anxiety attack is what she sounds like to me. It is really hard to understand her. I hope that the jury can maybe listen to this in the jury room because it is incredibly hard. The closed captions are not keeping up. But this sounds like genuine panic to me. I mean, now the 911 operators, I don't know if they teach you how to calm people down, but every single 911 operator I have ever listened to has not been very good at getting actual evidence or information and calming people down.
Stop talking your brain. Just stop talking your brain.
Sure, do you not fucking understand?
Yes, I understand, man. I can't understand you.
In this house.
Okay.
You guys, I do not know what fucking happened. Okay, I can't.
All right, I'm getting up you on the phone. Ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am, what's going on? Where's the gun? Ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, stop yelling and talk to me. Who has a gun? Ma'am. Ma'am, the cops are already on the way. You need to answer my question. So who has a gun? Ma'am, stop yelling and talk to me.
Okay, why didn't the man take the phone back and start giving coherent information? She is obviously beyond. Look, there are moments in your life where you are beyond reasoning with. You know, it rarely happens, but there are moments where, you know, look, you are just not there and it's too much. This woman is, the dispatcher is in no way, you know, trying to empathize. I would think that the dispatcher would say, hey, can the gentleman talk to me? You seem very upset. Is there someone that can talk to me? I have heard dispatchers ask for another person who's maybe a bystander to, you know, talk instead of the person, you know, infected or affected or involved because they're obviously not equipped to deal with it. I wouldn't be equipped. I am not saying this like I would be great in giving information. The one time I had to call 911 because I thought my son was missing, my mind was racing. I was like, he's like 3 feet 4 inches tall. He's got blonde hair. What else? You know, you just cannot get, and the woman on the phone, I will be very honest. The woman on the phone was incredibly sweet and they got there in time for my son to emerge from wherever he had chosen to take a nap, some cupboard downstairs. It is incredibly hard to get your mind to stop racing. My dispatcher was good. She was asking me fact-based questions that kept me on one sort of thing because I was able to stop that for a minute when she would ask a question. But there were times before I'd called that she probably would have gotten nothing from me because I was too busy running and trying to find him. So this dispatcher is not my favorite, to say the least.
Where's the gun? Okay, where is he bleeding? Ma'am, the call's already in.
let me ask you, there's a pause right here. What is that?
She disconnected.
Okay. And then she calls back, or someone from that number calls back, is that correct?
Correct.
Number one, you need police, fire, or medical? Hello? Hello, ma'am? Okay, I have deputies on the way. Where is he shot at? Okay. Okay, the ambulance and cops are on the way. Where is he shot?
Oh my God, in his head. Can you fucking call?
Okay, who shot him in the head?
Oh my God.
Who shot him in the head, ma'am? Okay, nobody, was it a car that drove by?
No.
Okay, is this somebody you know? Somebody from the house?
Yeah, we was in the house. Turning the fucking gun out, and I found red.
Where did he go?
He was supposed to be in bed, but he wasn't asleep.
Okay, the person with the gun, where is he at right now? Tell me. Ma'am, I have every deputy on the way right now. I need to know where the person with the gun is. Ma'am. Ma'am, stop yelling. Ma'am, what's the house number that he's at? I have a call in. 139.
Okay, unpopular opinion, but this man getting taken into police custody probably would not have happened with me allegedly in Minecraft. You hurt my children. Well, I'm gonna need bail money. How about that? And I get that some people's mode is to go into hysterical. I tend to go into kind of stoic box, kind of thinking, and really, this thing needs to get done, this thing needs to get done. I just don't know. I know the dispatcher needs all this information. She needs to get as much information to make it as safe as possible for first responders. There has to be a better way to get people to calm down or get information than trying to have a hysterical person relay that.
139 what? What is it, 13915? Okay. Ma'am, I'm trying to get the guy who did this, and I need to know where he is with the gun. Ma'am, they're coming. The police and the ambulance are on the way. Okay, well, they're coming. They're coming, lights and sirens, emergency. So where's
True,
the guy with
Denise.
the gun? Ma'am, where's the stuff that comes up? I got 2 deputies on Brewski Downs right now, so I need to know where the guy with the gun is. They're both coming. The police need to secure the scene so the EMS people are safe. I need to know where the guy with the gun is. Okay, the person with the gun, where is he?
And it cuts off there. Was that, who hung up there?
She did.
Okay.
I agree, old line red.
All right, Judge, I don't have any further questions of this witness.
All right.
Morning.
Very briefly. So this is 2 separate calls because you have the first call, there was a hang up, and then the person calls back. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Is she released?
Yes, sir.
All right, you could step down and you're released from your subpoena. Thank you. Call your next witness.
Say we'll call Daquan Evans.
Okay, Daquan, I'm going to wait for you to spell your name because I'm just going to wait. I don't want to misspell your name. And Daquan Evans, if you remember the opening statements by the state, Daquan Evans was the male voice that we first heard on the 911 call. He also, I believe, was talking with Shirley, or maybe met her on the front lawn as he was trying to call in these shots fired. I'm not quite sure. I have also never seen so many damn decorations in a courtroom. This woman loves Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Statue of Liberty, and the Statue of Liberty. That's a lot of tchotchkes for one courtroom, though.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, sir.
Morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
I'm Daquan Evans. First name Daquan, last name Evans.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Evans. If you could, where are you currently living?
I live in Ocala, Florida.
Back in 2022, in August of 2022, where were you living at that time?
I was staying off 13. Well, I can't remember the name of it, but I was down here in school as a student athlete in some condominium apartments.
What school were you going to?
University of South Florida.
Right, and you were a student at, what were you playing?
Football.
All right. And what are you doing now?
I'm a mentor for Wake Up Mentoring based out of Orlando, Florida.
All right. Now going back to August 22nd of August 29th of 2022, you were a student here at USF, and were you
I love to hear that he's a mentor and he's giving back. I know that, sometimes football players and jocks and, all these people that are gifted with not being able to fall upstairs and use their body, in a coordinated fashion, they sometimes get a bad rap, but it's really nice to know that he's giving back to a community and, using a lot of the privileges and things that he got by being a Are colleges semi-professional, or is there a junior? Any hoozle. He played football and he's giving back. That's a wonderful thing, and I love to see, young men, young women, everyone giving back to their community. And I just needed to take a break, to be honest.
living in the Heritage Club apartments?
Yes, sir.
All right. On that particular night, did something happen?
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you recall? When do you recall the first time knowing something was going on?
I heard like 4 or 5 shots.
All right. Where were you when you heard those shots?
In my house, in my room.
All right. And you described 4 or 5. Is that how many you thought you heard?
Yeah.
All right. What did you do upon hearing those shots?
Like, back at home, I'm used to hearing those type of things going on, so I just reacted and made sure I was good in the house and just really stayed there until I heard, something else from my Ring camera. And I just went downstairs and ran into a lady.
How long after you heard these shots did you hear this or see this lady?
On my Ring camera, probably like next 5 to 10 minutes.
All right. Could it have been quicker than that or longer than that? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
All right. What did you do upon seeing this lady?
I went downstairs and she asked for help, basically for me to call, the officers. She asked for the address, and that's what I did.
All right. And were you in fact, the person who called 911?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it was your phone she was on during that conversation?
Yes, sir.
All right. How did she appear to you?
Like, shocked, like she was lost the words a little bit.
All right. Now you mentioned a ring camera. So your building had a Ring camera at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 7. Did you have a chance to look at this video?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is a video, in fact, from your Ring camera on that night?
Yes, sir.
All right. And does this fairly and accurately depict kind of what happened in that moment, which was at your door?
Yes, sir.
All right. Judge moved out State's Exhibit number 7 admitted into evidence.
No objection.
It's admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
What is the address?
12915.
So that's all the ring camera was able to record on that particular moment?
Yes, sir.
And that woman out there, that's the woman who you gave the phone to when you were talking to 911?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said on the 911 call that the shots were about 2 minutes before you called 911. Would that be about right?
Yes, sir.
After hearing those shots, calling 911 and seeing that lady out there, did you do anything else?
I went back to sleep.
Okay. And did you?
How do you go back to sleep? My nosy behind is outside using the damn Dyson on like the yard, trying to figure out what's going on. This guy's like, not my chickens, not my rooster, not my problem. God bless him. I would wish I would not be back to sleep. Y'all, again, my nosy behind. I'm like, hello, I'm an influencer. I would like the first scoop. Like, I would be in there trying to CSI this crap from the beginning. He's just like, look, I was tired. It was like, it's, again, not my problem. I'm going back to bed. Also, Judge, what is up with making everyone look like they are in a black hole? Seriously. I get that it makes the video camera pop, but it also makes them look like just god-awful. Daggone, what is going on in this court? And this woman loves the Statue of Liberty, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and apparently dark colors.
Eventually talk to officers or detectives?
Wait a minute. Is this an Emmy over here, or is this Lady Liberty? What is... Oh, this courtroom is my courtroom. This is what my courtroom would look. I have a problem with getting too many tchotchkes. It would all be Sailor Moon dressed up as Lady Liberty and Lady Justice, but I would be just as gauche. No lie. Even worse.
That I can remember, I know a detective came back to my house, I think a couple of days later, and she got the ring footage. That's
She
all.
got the ring footage from you?
Yeah.
All right. Judge Birmingham, one moment.
I will say this
Just to be
case
clear,
is
you said
moving
you
right
called
along.
911 2 minutes after you hear these shots, or about that time.
Yes, sir.
Had you seen Shirley Williams before you called 911?
No, sir.
You called 911 first, and then you saw Miss Williams at the door, or how did the timing of it work?
No, after the ring camera, then I called it for her.
Then you called?
Yeah.
So you'd seen her at the ring door before, and then you called 911?
Yeah, when she asked.
Okay. And again, you described her as shocked?
Yeah.
Right. Was she be able to communicate with you?
A little bit. That's for me to call 911. That's all I can remember.
All right, Judge, I don't have any further questions, Mr. Evans.
Right?
I need to get a little desk. Mr. Mo's desk is not working. I need like all the space.
Good morning, Mr. Evans.
Come on.
Now, back in August of 2022, you were living at that Heritage Club Apartments.
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you lived there at that point?
Probably like a year.
Okay. And your schedule was pretty busy back then in the summer?
Yes, ma'am.
So it wasn't a situation where you would kind of hang out around the apartment or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
All of the places in that complex are all townhouses?
Yes, ma'am.
And you lived there with a roommate?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your roommate ever come out or do anything?
Okay, this young man is making my mama's heart proud. I mean, yes, ma'am, no, thank you, yes. His mama did a great job. I mean, doggone it, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, nuh-uh. Sir, you are restoring my faith in humanity. May you be a bright beacon just like your white shirt on that damn black background. What the hell is going on here? The Matrix is broken.
When this happened?
No, ma'am. He was asleep.
Okay, so you were asleep also when you did hear the shots?
Yeah. Once I heard him, I woke up.
Okay, and you said that you came downstairs, so your bedroom, I assume, is upstairs?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And then you come downstairs and end up coming outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone come to your door, or was she there at your door as you were walking out?
Just when I opened it right there.
Okay. And the person that you saw that the state is describing as Shirley Williams, she wasn't someone that was known to you, right?
I don't know her at all.
Okay, so you didn't know that they lived across or anywhere that never had any contact with them?
No, ma'am.
The setup of the complex that you were at, your townhouse building, there would be like a couple of townhouses right next to each other.
Yes, ma'am.
And yours was, I believe, the second one or the first one?
Probably the second or third one, because it's in the middle.
Okay. And then there's like a walkway or a sidewalk, and then there's townhouses across from you, and you all face each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then if you're to come out of where your townhouse is and turn, that's the parking lot where you would be assigned a parking spot or whatever for your units.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the parking spaces across from your.
Do we not have a freaking picture? I can't do this spatial awareness. When they start talking about locations and everything, it is a muddle of gray to me. I sort of get the picture, but I'm always really, really wrong. So is it that hard to get a Google Earth little, printout and have him point to the places in the daggone neighborhood? I mean, come on, Florida.
Your parking space would be assigned to the units that are next to that.
Yes, ma'am.
And it almost forms like a T, right? Like you guys would be across from each other, and then there would be other townhouses that are kind of dead end from where you were.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you kept going past your townhouse, there would be like a pool and other units that way, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When you first came out, was there anyone else? I'm waiting for her to ask if he saw a one-armed man running by and they have, connections to a pharmaceutical company who's killing homeless people to cure cancer. Where are we going with this? This is not Richard Kimball. This is not The Fugitive. What the hell? Why are we talking about how the apartment is fixed up unless you're going to try to say that it was a man on a grassy knoll?
Out there besides this woman?
Not that I remember.
Okay. And you end up being the one that first calls 911.
Yes.
And then as you're talking to the operator on 911, you end up handing the phone over to the female who came to your door.
That I can remember, yes.
Okay. And you don't have any other contact other than maybe at some point getting your phone back?
No, that's all.
Okay. So you go back to sleep. You don't know anything else about what happened?
No, ma'am.
And as far as this person appearing to be in shock or anything like that, you don't know her, but that was kind of your first impression of her demeanor at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could have one moment?
Yes.
So we proved they live in an apartment complex and that she appeared to be hysterical. I don't know where we're going with this defense. Really don't.
Nothing further.
Mr. Evans, just to clear something up, I misspoke and I called her Shirley Williams. Her name's Shirley Bass. Do you know Shirley Bass?
No, sir.
Okay, so when you saw that lady at your door, was that the first time you'd seen her?
Yes, sir.
All right. Had you ever spoken to her previous to that?
No, sir.
Did you ever speak to her after that?
No, sir.
All right, so that was the only time that you had ever seen Miss Bass?
Yes, sir.
All right. Nothing further, Judge.
All right, you can step down, sir, thank you. He released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Call your next witness.
They call Deputy Scott Rainey. Judge, will we approach just for a second?
Sure.
Please. and nothing but the truth. Thank you, sir.
Well, hello, deputy. Oh, no, that was the bailiff. Never mind. Hottie alert. Dad bod hottie alert. There you go.
Good morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
Yes, ma'am. Deputy Rainey, Ranney.
Do you have a first name?
Scott.
I'm just gonna remove all objections as to this witness.
All right. Thank you. Same rulings.
Deputy, how are you currently employed?
At the District 1 office as a patrol deputy.
All right. And you work for the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been working with Hillsborough County?
15 years.
And what are your duties as a patrol deputy?
To answer calls when they come out, answer calls for service.
All right. And what was your position back on August the 29th of 2022?
I was an FTD,
And what does that mean?
a field training deputy that trains the new deputies as they come on.
All right.
Oh, holy crap. You guys, can you imagine being a baby cop and this is one of your first calls? Screw that. I would become a baker or a streamer. Look, I recommend streaming to anyone. I get to be a semi-professional, semi-funny person for my semi-profitable hobby that I hope to turn into a business. There's a lot of semis there, but it used to be hypothetical. So from hypothetical to semi is great. Progress. Practice is progress. We are not looking for perfection because, holy God, have you met me? That is unachievable-ness. But quirky goodness, I can do.
And who were you training at that time?
Deputy Rahman.
All right. And when you're training a deputy, do you work together with that deputy?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you all ride in the same car?
Yes, sir.
And you go to the same scenes together?
Yes, sir.
And if he has questions, does he ask you what to do?
Yes, sir.
All right. And how long had you been working with, who were you working with on that day?
He just said Detective
Deputy Rahman.
Ramen.
How long had you been training Deputy Roman?
There's different phases. We were in 4th phase at that point, which is a 2-week period, and we were on the 1st week.
Okay. And once he's done with that phase, does he go out on his own at that point?
Yes.
All right, so he was nearing the completion of his training at that time?
Yes.
All right. Deputy, what zone were you working back on August 29th of 2022?
Alpha 4.
And where is that zone, if you can explain to the jury where Alpha 4 is?
Alpha 4 is from Nebraska to Del Mabry and from Fowler up to Bears.
Okay.
See, and here I thought he was going to go battleship and say A through D and 8 through 1. You know, just that whole quadrant. Well, you know, I love it. I will say that in a weird way, not to get too personal or like me focused, but when I hurt myself and my life changed and I kept, praying and asking God and the universe and even pescatarians if they could help me with, this condition, there were a lot of no's when I would ask for help with that, but there was a yes for a dream that I never thought I would achieve. So in my own way, it has been helpful to look at, times when things don't work out for me as a no, because a yes that I haven't even, pondered is out there waiting for me. At least that helps me some days. Some days I'm just like, come here, peeps, you're with me. An expert, how dare you get me addicted to Dr. Pepper Peeps? I know that there is probably nothing but red dye number 712, but they're good. I'm just waiting for them to get stale and hiding them from my children.
Does the Heritage Club apartments, did they fall within your zone?
No.
Okay. Why did you respond to the Heritage Club apartments on that night? Or did you respond to the Heritage Club?
Yes, we responded because we were closer to the district that time, which is closer to where those apartments are. And because I had a recruit, that is a very good call for a recruit to go to.
Okay. So you can respond to other zones if there's an emergency and you need to go there.
Yes,
All right, and it happened to be that you were kind of close to that area at that time.
correct.
All right. Where is this area, Heritage Club apartments located?
It's off of 37th Street.
I'm gonna, if you show me one time, I'll remember from you. Push that in.
All right, let's talk to Megan's hair. This is a case that just started. Unfortunately, this is another child case because, you know what, the Petty Express is here to handle the cases that are hard. So we have a place where we can use dark humor and sarcasm to deal with these absolute dumpster fire cases. This case involves Jermaine Bass. Jermaine Bass is alleged to have shot accidentally 5 rounds. Unfortunately, those rounds went directly into the heads of his 2 children. His young daughter, Jayla, unfortunately passed away from her wounds, and his son, JJ, is still with us. We don't know the extent to which he was injured. We just got done with opening statements. The case looks pretty good against Mr. Bass. There are some inconsistencies that the defense has brought up, but it doesn't look good. No one here seems to think that, you know, you can accidentally fire 5 shots into the head of children accidentally on purpose. That's the case that we are dealing with. We do know, I will say that the judge and both attorneys have been pretty good. The defense attorney is a bit more ham-fisted and blunt than maybe I would have been about this case. And collectively, the state and the defense decided not to have JJ, the surviving victim, on the stand. So as far as they've tried to do some forensic evidence or forensic interviews, and he doesn't remember anything and was not cooperative, which I totally get. Being 8 years old, losing your 5-year-old sister, and having it be at the hands of your father, that's a lot to take on as an adult, as a child. If your mind protects you by not remembering any of it, then leave that baby alone. And I'm glad that they decided not to do this. This courtroom is full of tchotchkes. We've got Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We've got Lady Liberty, and we have a freaking black background on the witness stand. It is the weirdest damn thing I have ever seen. This case is from Tampa, Florida. We have already heard heartbreaking 911 testimony. This is one of the first responding officers. Unfortunately, he was also training Officer Rahman. He was at the end of his sort of field training, thing. So my heart goes out to the first responders. I can't imagine having to deal with this for 20 years, going to scenes like this, and then also having this be one of the first scenes that you have to walk on as a baby cop. So I know there are bad officers out there, but there are also really good people who just want to protect and help their community and have to go into situations that are the worst days of people's lives, and they only see the worst days. I mean, I know there's some good, but thank you for all that you do, because I know that it has to take an incredible toll to walk into these things. Yeah, Officer Robin.
I'm showing you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 26A for identification. And I'm going to ask you to take a look behind you at the overhead, at the video. All right, do you see in there where Heritage Club Drive is, the location where this incident occurred?
Yes.
If you could, please, could you stand up?
Are you freaking kidding me? You couldn't have gotten a closer Google Earth. It's called pinch and zoom. Pinch and zoom. Interpolate those pixels. Are you kidding? Here's from 30,000 feet. Where the hell are you? This would be such a... Y'all, I wouldn't know where. I'd be like, look, this is too high for me. I can't see the local Walmart. I don't know where the old Kmart is. And I know I turned left at the decrepit Wendy's. So where are all those?
up and point to it and kind of describe it on the, so it can be on the record?
Right here in this area.
Which is basically kind of the middle of the screen?
Correct.
And is there, and what's next to it? Is there like an identification tag? Or
As in the
a
red
marker?
dot?
Yeah, red dot?
Yes.
Okay, and that's where the apartment was located that you went to on that day?
Correct.
And where is like Fletcher and Bruce B. Downs and USF and all that? Can you
Bruce
describe
B.
it?
Downs is over here, Fletcher is right along here, and this was the 37th Street I was talking about.
Okay. Right, and showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 26B that's previously been introduced into evidence. Is this the apartment complex we're talking about?
Yes, it is.
All right, and can you tell kind of where you went on that particular day? Do I have it backwards, or how do I have it?
Can you spin it that way? Okay, yes, so this is again 37th Street right here.
Right.
And then when
On
you
the
go
left, on the left part of
Yes.
the,
On the left side right here.
thank you.
And then Fletcher would be down on the southern part, and Bruce B. Downs would be over on this side. He goes up and around.
All right, and where did you go in, and how did you enter into the scene?
We entered in on this right here, and then we went up, and into the actual apartment is up a little higher, like right here.
And you're pointing to the top part of the picture, to the building, like, right in the middle of all those buildings?
Correct.
And that's
Do
that's
we
the
not have
location
a
of the,
pointer?
apartment you all went to?
Yes,
on
sir.
that particular evening?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. You can go ahead and sit down. What did you believe you were responding to? What was the call about?
The call just went out as a shooting call, but it didn't give a lot of details. It didn't say, who was a victim or anything. It just said somebody was shot.
All right. Were you one of the first units to arrive on scene?
Yes, sir. There was approximately 4 of us that got there close to the same time.
Who were the other deputies who responded at the same time?
Deputy Jones, Deputy Rahman with me, and Deputy White.
Okay. Describe to the jury what you saw as you were driving up to the scene, and as far as the outside of the apartment.
There wasn't a whole lot outside, just, a lot of cars because it's an apartment complex. When we were going towards the apartment, getting close to the door, there was a female outside, and then, we went past her and went on inside to the apartment.
Well, was the female saying anything? How was she behaving?
She was saying something. I wasn't close to her. There was another deputy, I believe it was Deputy Jones, was already talking to her when we got there, and we went around another way and went to the door.
All right. And did you in fact enter the scene?
Yes, sir.
What did you see when you went into the residence?
When I went in, you immediately went into like a kitchen area to the left. There was a TV on the left side and a couch on the right side, and there was a gentleman sitting there holding a juvenile in his arms.
All right. And what did you do at that point?
At that point, we went up to him to see what was going on, and you could see blood on the juvenile's head. So we were trying to figure out where the blood was coming on, figure out what was going on, and had my recruit go out and get a med bag and start, treating him.
Okay. And did you speak with this man?
Yes.
All right. What did he tell you happened?
He told me that there was an accidental discharge and the gun went off and hit the child.
All right. Did you know about another child upstairs?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. When did you first hear about the other child upstairs?
When Deputy White came downstairs and said that there was another victim upstairs.
Had the defendant, Mr. Bass, ever said anything to you about this other victim upstairs?
No.
All right. Did you ever go upstairs?
At one point I did go upstairs. I got up to the top of the stairs. I was able to see that there was enough deputies up there treating the other child, so I went right back downstairs.
Were you wearing a body-worn camera on that day?
Yes.
All right. Explain to the jury what a body-worn camera is, how it works.
So a body-worn camera is the camera for a normal call that you go to, you have to turn it on yourself, but anytime like we pull out our weapon, turn on your taser, turn your lights on your car, it automatically comes on, but we use it every single call we go to, we turn it on. And it records everything. It can see everything we see, it sees.
Are you in fact wearing a body-worn camera right now?
Yes.
Can you point it out and show it to the jury where it's located?
It's right here.
Record reflect he's standing up and identifying like a black box in the center of his chest.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibit number 2. Did you in fact review this?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And is this in fact a copy of the body-worn camera you were wearing on that day?
Yes.
All right. And does it fairly and accurately depict what you saw when you arrived on scene?
Yes.
Because I'm going to publish it.
So guys, just before we get into this, this is probably going to be some awful footage. You're probably going to see a mother grieving, you know, her child, and it's going to be raw and emotional, but, you know, so be prepared for that. If you have to take breaks, if you have to do the replay crew, or just can't even finish this trial, absolutely no shame, absolutely no, you know, protect yourself. These are hard cases. The Petty Express is where you have a safe place to be dark and give all the snark. But if you need to take a break, by all means, take a break. Well, that was stealthy. Yes, I'm getting more pop. Oh, and on a side note for those that watched Mornings with Mo, while pricey, it looks like I can get a 12-pack of the maple water mango passion fruit for $30. So I will try that. You know, why not? Something quirky, and maybe you know, it'll cure me of my pop addiction because it's maple water, and from our loving friends from Canada, whom we love. And we want no, the real thing, look, I'm going to tell you the real thing. We're jealous of Tim Hortons. I want Tin Bits. I want them now. And we don't have any in our country, so please send Tin Bits. Thank you, my Canadian friends. I'm getting Sarah Boone flashbacks.
Nobody else is in the house. Hey, can you two go help him? We'll clear up here. Alright, paramedics are coming right now.
Wait. Did he just say no one else was in the house when he knows full well that his daughter's upstairs? And I'm sorry, I tried to catch it. I didn't realize that we were going to see JJ. Sorry, you guys.
What happened? What happened?
What? I'm moving to Ohio.
Okay.
Or Long Island.
Get him that bag. Please, hurry. They're coming. 52 on EMS. Yeah, can you hear me? Please, hurry. They're here, they're coming. Yeah, they're already cleaned upstairs. We cleaned it downstairs. It's okay.
Sir, you are a piece of human garbage. And I'm not at 3 hours yet. But I'm going to need a swear jar. And it is a miracle that that little boy is alive. And I am so glad. Oh, I don't like coffee all that much. I have a grinder on the way to try the kind that I was sent from, oh my gosh, Karen. But I've not ever been a big coffee person. I just want their donuts. I'm not gonna lie. As a semi-former fat kid, like donuts, you can get me with donuts, like Krispy Kreme, fresh out of the oven. Get 2 dozen, bring 1 dozen home. The other family doesn't have to know about the first dozen. All right, let's get back into this. It does seem like we're going to hear JJ crying. That's really hard as a parent, as you know, anyone. If you need to take breaks, absolutely do it. I'm doing it. Let's get back to this.
Not yet. Hang in there, buddy. Come on, hang in there.
Oh, absolutely. I think that might be the family, and I couldn't sit through this. I couldn't as the family member. And I think that might be the witness or the victim's advocate, you know, giving them, and they're doing it respectfully, you know, not making a scene. But this would be incredibly difficult to sit through.
He said it was an accidental discharge. Thank you. 46 station, North 1025, and the house is clear. Okay, on. Out 47, be advised, there's another gunshot victim upstairs. It's a juvenile female. Yes, 10-4.
I'm keeping an eye on the gentleman in the green. Look, if this were a family member of mine, and especially a child, I would not be in the room because, again, I don't look good in orange and I don't have bail money. But I'm just saying, I might catch airtime like the guy who went after the judge, allegedly in Minecraft, if I heard this.
How did the accidental discharge happen? What happened?
It was going, I was...
From you or somebody else?
I was trying to take out the magazine and all.
Alright, we'll get it figured out. Just stay calm for now. What happened upstairs?
Nothing happened upstairs.
Nothing happened upstairs? Your daughter isn't upstairs? All right, I'm gonna have the me button ready to go.
Gotcha. Is she breathing?
Where's the doctor now? It's upstairs, I'm dressed on top of it. One side of the dressing. Where is Sylvie in the dresser, in that silver dresser. The middle of the master bedroom.
You gonna go check it on? Gotcha.
What's on upstairs? Hey, what's upstairs?
It's worse upstairs.
Okay, adult?
No, juvenile, female.
Okay. Take this one to the rescue.
Stay right where you're at. Stand up for me real quick. I'm just gonna pat you down for weapons. Put your hands on your head. Just put them on your head. On your head. There you go. Turn around for me. You got nothing under right now.
He's got something on the side of the head and his head.
Left side of his head. All right, have a seat. You're good.
Hey guys, get up there. You're coming down now. When you have a 4-year-old. Where at?
So you're saying that whatever happened to him, is that your son?
Both of those are my kids.
Both of those are your kids. So it accidentally discharged and hit your son. What happened to your daughter upstairs?
The same thing. They was both in the bed together. Just
They were both in the bed together?
Yes. I think I rang from the way.
You're saying both kids were in the bed together and you were in their
I
room?
was in there.
Out 47. The father's saying that he shot both of them with one round accidentally. So nobody else was in this house, just you and them?
So there's already multiple inconsistencies on this body cam. He didn't tell them about his daughter upstairs, said nothing happened upstairs when the state says that they have evidence that the gun went off upstairs. And he's saying it was one shot when they know it was 5. So, yeah. Also, he's not panicking. You see the deputies running upstairs, downstairs, everywhere. When you hear a kid cry like that, as a mom, it starts your heart rate racing. It's not even your child, and that tone, that hurt cry, you know it, and it cuts into your soul, and you just want to do something. So the fact that he's able to remain stoic, remain calm, and not really do a damn thing other than he hid or put the gun away, I mean, sir, the curse words that are coming.
And your wife, where was she at? She was in her room. Yeah.
I also made note because the defense wanted really for you to pay attention to where Sherry was, sorry. So I did note that he said that she was in her room. So that might change, so I did take a note. And Wolfram says an accidental discharge would have been 1 round, a cook-off would have been 1 round, full auto may have been more than 1, but this pew-pew was not full auto. Yeah, I don't think so. None of this makes sense the way he's said it. So I don't know what the defense is doing here.
Deputy, was Mr. Bass eventually taken into custody at that point?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you have any further involvement in this case?
No, sir.
May I have one moment?
Yes.
Judge, I'll pass this.
All right.
Good morning, Deputy Rainey, how are you?
Good, ma'am.
I only have a couple additional questions
Yes,
for you.
ma'am.
All right, so when you entered the home, you saw Mr. Bass sitting on the couch cradling his son, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you could see that his son, JJ, had been injured.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there was actual blood that was bleeding from JJ onto the father, Mr. Bass, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What in the fucking Walmart rapture does this have to do with the case? Ma'am, what the hell are your questions? Are you watching the same trial? Are you from Mars? Yes, the blood was bleeding onto him. This woman is testing my very limited nerves. Mostly because I don't understand where in the foggy hell she is going with these questions. I hope to God she knows, but at this point I have no idea.
And throughout your contact with Mr. Bass, he was cooperative with you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we heard on the body cam, he was yelling such stuff as, "Just help my child." Do you remember hearing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At some point, you are talking to him, and he says something about the gun being on the dresser. But then later, do you recall he does in fact say on or in the silver dresser?
I remember him saying on the dresser. I think some other deputies were coming in and out and trying to say, we still haven't found it yet. But I don't recall that part.
That's okay. So do you believe then that at some point that he says on, but then does say it's in the silver dresser?
It's a possibility, yes.
All right. Other deputies' body cams?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What is up with this? I know why she annoys me now. She has that voice of the teacher who really, really likes to up talk, and she thinks you're stupid. But she's really sweet about it, but she thinks you're dumb. All right, let's go back. I think I can deal with her voice for one more minute. I don't have my magic power of my wigs or anything. I'm like, oh, for the love of holiness, I need my scepter back.
And it's you, Deputy White is there, Deputy Jones, and you are training Deputy Rahman, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
He also indicates that his wife was there as well. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Judge, may we approach the bench?
Yes. Please approach so I don't have to hear you talk anymore. Holy goodness gracious. Oh, are we listening? Oh, he's able to listen in. Okay, that makes sense. I've never seen that before. Or maybe I have. Honestly, it's a Monday. I don't remember much. Wow, this is a long sidebar.
Okay, Deputy Rainey, you may have a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Deputy Rainey. I don't have any other questions for you.
Anything else?
Thank you, tiny baby Jesus, so we don't have to listen to
All
her
right, I'm
up
gonna
talk.
ask you to step down and remain outside for just a couple minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break.
All rise.
Holy fluorescent lighting. Good Lord, more tchotchkes? Another poster? This woman loves her decor. Someone went to Hobby Lobby. Probably.
All right, have a seat. Do you want to bring him back in and go ahead and do those?
Yeah, could we do this? Could we really?
Reflected jury is not present. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Judge. Thank you, Judge. Just state your name again so we know who's testifying.
Deputy Scott Rainey.
Okay. Now, Deputy Rainey, when you arrived, your body cam started about 10:44. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you originally asked what happened, and Mr. Bass indicated the gun discharges, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then, within the pretty much the same time limit at, let me step back. 5:37, you're stepping in and you asked, and he says gun discharges, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about that. About 6:15 on the audio, a deputy is heard saying, "We got another one up here." Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it sounds like it's pretty quickly on that you and other deputies determined that there is
Pretty
another
quickly?
victim upstairs.
No, I just wrote this down. 5:37 is when he got in and said, "Oh, the force multiplier went off." And then at 6:15, they find the other baby. Are you kidding me? That is nearly 30 minutes that this man didn't tell them that there was a little girl upstairs. Not very shortly after. I mean, I know my mathing isn't great mathing, but are you flippin' flapjack kidding me? Cannot wait for 3 hours to be here.
Stairs, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, at some point, I see you, I believe you to be walking outside, and you must be talking to like other deputies on your radio?
Dispatch.
Dispatch?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Is that like a separate from your body cam, or how do you do that?
That's connected to your.
That voice, is that like separate from your body cam? Good night, nurse. This woman made me get a York peppermint patty. I need sugar to combat and peppermint to combat the condescension. Holy crap. I thought I was a snarky B word. This woman is on another level. Holy God. Tiny baby Jesus. Let her switch out with the other lawyer.
Radio, yes. So dispatch calls through, but the camera can hear and still everything that's being said, yes.
Okay. Now, at this point, before you do that, Mr. Bass has only made the statement that the gun discharged, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, in fact, when you step outside, correct me if I'm wrong, I hear you say, "The house is clear," and then you say, somebody says something, and then you're saying, "Yeah, we know about the second victim." Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. At that point, at some point, when have you, you might be doing other stuff, you walk back in, and that's where you get more specific with Mr. Bass concerning, "Tell me more about this, who did it, how did it happen, where were you, where are the kids?" Fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you testified in a deposition, Mr. Thierry and I were present and we asked you some questions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to review that before you testified today?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, okay. Now, let me ask you this. You decided that at a certain point, Miranda needed to be read, correct?
Yes.
Okay, jury's not here, we can talk about it. And you had, I believe, Deputy Rahman do that since he's in training.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I had asked you in deposition, what made you decide that point? And do you remember telling me, and is it your testimony today, that you were getting information that the house was clear and that you had determined or y'all knew there was a second victim? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Once you knew that, you knew the house was clear, and you knew that there was a second victim, that's afterwards when you walk back in and you have conversation more specifically with Mr. Bass for a little bit of time, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 minutes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then at a later time, Deputy...
This cop is like, and I didn't believe any of the words coming out of his mouth. Ooh, a Simpson shirt's for work. I'm wearing my Daria shirt. I can't wait to break out my blazers, but everything is in my, the flooring is done. And Mr. Mo decided, because I apparently need all quiet, I like quiet, he is double soundproofing the room. So he's putting more, I don't know, they've got magical stuff you can put in the wall that's supposed to absorb sounds. I let him deal with that. I am not smart. I just say, "Oh, can we have more plugins?" That's what I ask. But it is getting done, so I'm so excited because I need my space back. I need my cave.
Rahman reads Miranda.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, when you had stepped out, you knew the house was clear, and you had said, we could hear it, the house is clear, house is fine, there's a second victim upstairs. Is it not true that Mr. Bass was not free to leave at that point?
could look at it that way, yes.
And in fact, do you remember testifying in deposition to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You remember being
There's 2 children shot. He's the only one saying, I used a force multiplier. Yeah, I'm guessing he's not free to leave. Where are we going with this?
the motion to suppress, where we all kind of agreed to the judge who had your deposition that you said when you had those 2 factors, you had not read Miranda and Mr. Bass was not free to leave, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're admitting you're asking him questions?
I don't remember asking any questions after he was read Miranda.
Yeah, no, sir. I'm talking about before, sorry about that. You're asking him specific questions.
At that point, I didn't tell him he wasn't free to leave yet, no.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is, after you get the
He arrived on a scene where a child was shot, a man was cradling him in his arms, didn't tell him about another victim. Yes, he's asking questions before he Mirandized him because it was an exigent circumstance. Now, normally I tell you guys that I don't dislike defense attorneys. They are doing their job. But this chick, I might actively dislike her. Also, your hair is way too brassy for your age. How about getting purple shampoo? I'm done. Snarky. Actually, I'm not going to promise Snarky's going to end. I see Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she would be rolling her damn eyes at this argument.
information that the house is clear and you get the information there's a second victim, you go back inside, you're asking him additional questions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The questions as we discussed, and it's at that point he said he basically did it, he was cleaning the gun, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. We're talking.
Why the WT flapjack? Are you cleaning your force multiplier in your children's room real close to their heads? Mensa level thinking here. Galaxy brain. Yes, he's asking questions because he's currently holding a shooting victim. No, he's not allowed to. This woman is going to make me curse before 3 hours.
A little bit earlier. All right. May I have just a moment?
Can I have just a moment? No, you can't. Speak in your normal register. You have a little bit of a deeper voice. I can tell because you put it in a high thing and it sounds ridiculous.
Thank you so much.
Did you want anything on the record from you?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he released from his subpoena now?
Oh, yikes.
He is not judge.
All right, you're to remain on standby, but you can
Yes.
leave the courthouse.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, we'll be in recess.
Course and reset.
So she just wanted to get on record that they talked to him and asked him questions before Miranda. Now, that might be an appellate thing that they are, my guess is it's being put on the record for appeal. As not a lawyerologist, that is my, best sort of assumption. And I would like to say I really love her hair. Her hair is beautiful. It's styled great. It's youthful but professional. I think it's great. Now, if you two could just take some notice. Also, if you could fix your client's tie because it is slightly off center and it is bothering the ever-living hell out of me. So if you could just do that. Oh, for heaven's sake. You guys take the longest breaks in Florida. Those glasses make him look about 8 years old, but then it's disconcerting when he has a beard. From here up, he looks 8. From here down, 28. It's the weirdest damn thing.
All right, be seated.
Call your next witness.
City Call Deputy Adam Rahman.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you, sir.
I love this clerk. This clerk should give every single lawyer talking lessons. She projects, you can hear her voice. It is a little bit crisp, but you can hear her and she's authoritative. Everyone needs to take vocal lessons from this clerk so I can hear you if you're on a mic or not. Me too. I mean,
Good morning. If you would please introduce yourself and
he's
spell your
taking
name
notes
for
and
us.
he's being
Good morning,
interactive.
everyone. My name is Deputy Rahman. That's Rahman.
First
Oh,
name?
R-A-H.
Adam.
Tag on it.
Good morning, Deputy Rahman. Where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and I'm assigned to the Patrol Division, and I work in District 1.
All right. How long have you been working with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Approximately 4 years.
Did you have any prior law enforcement experience before that?
No, I did not.
Poor rabbit. They're not going to let him grow a mustache until he's not a rookie. God bless him, little baby cop. Why does he look like he's 12? Why am I at the age where young 20-year-olds look like they're 12 and a half? I am not ready to be, look, I am not mature enough to be my age. Let me just be real with you.
All right. Back on August 29th of 2022, what were
Always ramen in my heart.
I was assigned to the Patrol Division that night, and I was completing just one of my normal 12-hour shifts.
What are your general duties as a patrol deputy?
We handle various calls for service, we conduct traffic stops, and we do proactive policing to deter crime.
Now, back on August 29th,
Wow, he knows.
2022, how long have you been employed as a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Oh gosh, that was such a me move. Like he said the entire, standard operating procedure line, and he was so proud of himself. He did a little like, I did it. That is such a me. So we're going to replay that.
What are your general duties as a patrol deputy?
We handle various calls for service, we conduct traffic stops, and we do proactive policing to deter crime.
He's like, yes, I did
Back
it.
on August 29th of 2022, how long had you been employed as a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy?
I did approximately 1 year in the academy, and I was finishing up the FTO process, which is approximately 4 months.
All right, what is that? So it's a 4-month process. During that time period, are you assigned to work with someone?
Yes, so I'm assigned to another deputy who's pretty much like he will train me per each shift, and I was finishing it up. I had 2 days left with him, and then I was going to be on my own.
All right, and who was this deputy? Who was your field training deputy?
Deputy Rainey.
Now, when as you work with Deputy Rainey, do you all ride together and go to each of the calls together?
Yes, we do. I'm typically the one driving, and he's the one sitting in the passenger seat, just foreseeing what I'm doing and making sure that I'm not messing up anything critical.
All right. Now, on August 29th of 2022, did you receive a call to respond to a scene out on Heritage Club Drive?
Yes, I did.
And did you recall what was it that you believed you were responding to at that time?
We were responding to a shooting call for service.
And were you one of the first units on scene?
Yes, I was.
What did you do when you arrived?
Well, once we arrived, we coordinated with the other deputies that were on scene, and we made a tactical entry into the living room. And then what we observed once we got on scene, we observed a adult male, Jermaine Bass, the defendant, and he was holding his son, who's also named Jermaine Bass, on the couch in the living room.
Prior to going into the residence, when you pulled up, did you see anyone outside, or did you observe anyone outside?
Yes, I believe I saw it was the mother, Shirley. She was outside, and she was screaming. She was just pretty much just screaming at the top of her lungs.
Okay. And could you tell really what she was saying?
Not exactly. I can't make out what she was saying, but she was screaming.
How would you describe her demeanor at that point?
Very frantic and scared, and just horrific is a good word to use for it.
Now, when you made the tactical decision to go in, you all take out your firearms as you do that?
Yes, we all did have our lethal weapons drawn.
All right, and what's the point of that?
Because we don't know what we're going into when we get a shooting call for service. There is the undeniable that there is a firearm located in the house or there isn't a firearm located in the house. And once we determine that the scene is safe and there is no credible threat, that's when we holster our weapons.
Okay. So you described that you...
Now, he is holding it together. From what I remember of Detective... crud, I write my notes. This is the deputy that found the little girl. So he keeps looking at the defendant, I don't know, to psych himself up, but he's doing a pretty good job, especially if this is the deputy that found little Jayla and tried to help her. I can imagine it's incredibly difficult to have to watch the body cam footage before the court date and then, you know, to leave it in the hands of the jury. You know, they're the ultimate deciders, so he has to do his job and hope that the jury does their job when given all the evidence.
You went into the residence, you saw the defendant, Jermaine Bass,
Yes, sir.
and he was holding his child.
Yes, he was.
And just for the record right now, do you see the person you saw in that room holding that child on that day?
Yes, I do.
Can you identify him just for the record?
He's sitting over there in the gray tuxedo.
Record reflects he has identified the defendant, Your Honor?
Yes.
All right. Now, who all entered with you, do you recall?
Yes, it was me, Deputy Rainey, Deputy Vander Bosch, Deputy White, and Deputy Nathaniel Jones. We were the initial first deputies on scene.
Right. As you go in, and you said you saw the defendant there holding his child, what else did you go upstairs?
So I did not go upstairs. Once we observed the defendant, Jermaine Bass, holding his son, we observed what appeared to be a gunshot wound to the left.
He's in the gray prom suit. You know, he's probably not worn a suit other than at weddings, or the prom. So he was like, it's the tuxedo. It was cute, bless him. I want to adopt him. Of course I want to adopt everyone. And a you know, Scottish Highland cow. Mr. Moe said no to the cow. I continued to tell him if we got a small one, I could walk it like a dog and no one would notice if we put a hat on him. And I have hats, or a wig. Come on, Bob's Burger, Melissa the pig, or the cow. Come on, I can do it.
Side of his head. And immediately we just attempted to render medical aid. Me and my partner, Deputy Vander Bosch, we grabbed our agency-issued medical kit, and we began to wrap his head in gauze to try to put pressure on the wound and stop the bleeding.
All right. Did you hear the father saying anything about what happened?
Yes, he made the spontaneous statement that it was an accidental discharge.
All right. Were you wearing a body-worn camera on that day?
Yes, I was.
All right. And have you had a chance to review what's already been introduced into evidence in State's Exhibit number 4?
Yes, I have.
All right. And does this pretty fairly accurately depict what you saw when you went through on that morning?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, closed captions. What are we doing here, guys? Oh, this is gonna suck, you guys. We are probably going to take a break through this body cam in the middle of it. It's just hard to hear that little boy crying for me and for everyone. Getting on the tactical gloves. Tactiglove activated.
Hey, can you really help him? Yep, we're up here. Take him to the hospital. Call the fair lady. All right, there, oh, please, now. The judge is
Somebody got a med bag. Get a med bag.
Please, sir.
They're coming, they're coming. Hey, can you hear me? They're here, they're coming, they're coming. Yeah, they're putting it upstairs, we turned it downstairs. Alright, go ahead. It's okay, you're okay. Not yet.
What happened upstairs?
Said it was an accidental discharge.
Accident discharge. Even the one upstairs? Yes. Where's he at?
The cops are like, the hell you say? I mean, the level of what the hell are you trying to sell me? Do I look ridiculous and redonkulous? You know, do I look like I was born yesterday in the dark with no light? The cops are like, sure, Jan. So, Erica, what he is claiming is that he was, for reasons known only to him in his story, cleaning his force multiplier next to the children in their bunk bed, and when he tried to either put the magazine in or take it out, it accidentally discharged 5 times. 4 shots hitting his children and 1 hitting, I think, the bathroom. He did not tell police as they initially entered that there was another child upstairs. He also, you know, there is something super fishy. I don't know how the defense is going to get out of this. Look, he looks all the guilty, okay? So I don't know how the defense is going to deal with this, but Jayla, you sweet baby, I hope you are in heaven and just being cared for by all your relatives who went before you and everyone there. Just loving on you because this sucks, all the donkey balls. What is wrong with you? So your wife went out to a party. Maybe you suspected her of cheating. Then leave. For the love of all that is holy, why would you hurt your children? It is a miracle that JJ is here with us. But you cost the world your precious daughter, who could have been a friend and, you know, do so incredible things or just ordinary things that are also incredible. But you stole that from the world, and I'm pissed off. So let's hear the rest of this so I can adjudicate you guilty already. Look, there's a reason I'm not on juries for kid cases, because I'd be like, and center of the sun.
We got a light on? Here, I'll put it out. Thank you. Okay, well, we got these bands right, want to throw this on?
I'm seeing the condition of the house the defense wanted me to notice.
I don't know when he's here. So he's got one in the head. One on the south, one in the head. Here, yeah, here.
You better be writing all the things you're sorry you're going to miss because you'll be in jail, because I am about done with you, sir. So, from what I'm gathering, he brought his son downstairs. I thought it was more of a human shield situation, but it turns out he was just holding him on the couch. They haven't really, this is the 4th witness, and we haven't really gotten to anyone who knows the situation. We've gotten mainly professionals. We had the 911 custodian of records, and then Daquan Evans, a neighbor who called 911, and then we've had these deputies. So we really haven't gotten into the meat of what happened. And like all these cases, I doubt we'll ever get an answer that's really satisfying for what happened. This would be Deputy Rahman, sorry, and he was a training officer who went in. So let's, again, and the dad not even holding a towel to the baby's head or getting him any gauze or an ice pack, or you hear this child screaming for help. There must be something wrong in his soul, because it cuts through mine to hear a kid cry like that.
Try to take out the magazine and
Well, Danielle, thank you so very much for your service. Danielle says, or Denise, sorry, my brain is. Denise, thank you for your service. You know, as a retired paramedic, I can tell you, you focus on your training and protocols. After the job is done, that's when reality sets in. I can imagine. And welcome, Sticky Widget. All righty. I'm holding it together like this.
Nothing happened upstairs. There we go, got inside. Alright, you have those two pins? I got one. Alright. Alright, we got those pins. Oh, we got one. Okay, let's see if we can check him for more injuries. Not yet, sir. Checking out this yard team. We got another victim upstairs. We got another. Still don't have a seat. Where's the gun right now? Be honest. It's upstairs on the dresser. On top of it, or in the dresser? On top of the dresser. Okay. Where it should be in the dresser, in that silver dresser, with the middle in the master bedroom. Yes. Okay. He's got one here. Okay. What's one upstairs? Hey, what's up? What's up? There's worse upstairs. Adult? No, juvenile. Okay. Take this one to the rescue. No. Two juvenile. Stay right where you're at.
Okay, can we have a talk about okay, y'all. I have a question. Look, I can understand I am from rural America. Maybe I don't get the culture, but what is the flippin' point of having a belt if you belt it under your behind? Can I just have a reason? Because I don't get it, and I don't know what's going on. But what the actual schnell? If you wear a belt, but it's below your butt, what is it doing other than just being a belt that's used? Okay, rant over. I'm just like, I don't get it. It's not my jam. But what the hell is the point of a belt if you belt it below your behind? And I don't want to see your underpants. I really don't. I'm proud that they're white, but and that you seem to have done laundry, but doggone it, I don't want to see it. It's for butt support. They're trying to get Brazilian butt lifts cheaply. I may try that. Except I'm not coordinated on the best day, and I don't think my leg would tolerate a belt. I had to take off. Well, I mean, look, his tidy whities are... Here, let me go back, because they are fairly white. So I was... Well, the elastic thing. Look, as a married woman, I can confess that one of these silly arguments that Mr. Moe and I have is his desire to keep underpants that are more whole than underpants. So I am just proud of this man that he doesn't have, holy underpants. Because me and Mr. Moe have this fight all the time. He's like, they're just broken in. I'm like, they are falling apart. And it's embarrassing. If you get in a car wreck, they're going to think your wife didn't care about you. And he said, no, they're going to think my wife lets me have my comfy underpants. And I was like, fine, you just have to live long enough if you're at a crime scene to tell them I had nothing to do with these underpants, okay?
Upside down, right in his head. That's all we saw.
The defense also wanted us to take note of the condition of the house, but it looks fairly clean to me.
Where at? So you're saying that whatever happened to him, is that your son? Both of those are my kids. Both of those are your kids. So it accidentally discharged and hit your son. What happened to your daughter upstairs?
The same way, there was both in the bed. It was just one round?
Both in the bed together?
Yes.
Saying both kids are in the bed together?
Deputy, a couple quick questions following that. So when that video shows you walking in, the sound doesn't come on for a little while. Why is that?
So en route to the call, the body cam was muted because I was having a conversation with my FTO while getting to the call, and we didn't want that just to be for the a minute or 2 minutes that it was prior to the video that captured audio, just because I was fairly new at the time, so he was kind of walking me through and maybe just calming my nerves a little bit, and that's essentially why it was.
Okay, then so did you manually turn on the sound so that it would pick up the...
Yes, once we made entry, I manually turned it on.
Okay. That thing that they brought in where you pulled out, what is that called? Where you pulled out the gauze?
That is our agency issued medical kit, and it carries things such as quick clot, I think there's extra tourniquets, gauze, things of that nature to, render aid in instances like this.
Okay, and every deputy carries one in their vehicle?
Yes.
Oh, you guys, I know why I love him now. It just clicked to me, and I need to take a minute because, goodness gracious, this case. He reminds me of my little brother. So my little brother is my hero, and I'll tell you a quick story so I don't have to deal with, probably the next little bit of testimony. But in case you guys didn't know, I lost my first husband when my little girls were about 18 months and 5 months old. And I was living with my mom. It was kind of a really weird time for me. But on the way home from the hospital, having learned this news, when I got home, my little brother, who was, I think, about 8 years old at the time, came up to me very serious, shoulders back, standing up straight, had his shirt, his little Power Ranger shirt, I think, on. And he said, Mo, he used my name. He's like, I have decided that I will be the girl's father, since they don't have one now. And it wasn't until years later that I could tell him how much that just mended my heart in that moment. And he probably never knew it until he was older, but he has always been my hero for that. Although we don't live close enough to Kentucky for him to actually be their, brother dad. But he's always been a stand-up kid, even from a young age. He is so great. So that's why I have a little place in my heart for Deputy Rahman. He reminds me of a stand-up guy who just does the right thing, always there. Maybe I'm projecting my brother onto him, but he looks like him, so that's what we're going with.
After tending the boy's injuries and you went out, did you do anything else while you were at the scene?
Once the scene was cleared and both juveniles were removed from the residence, my next task was scene safety and the security of the scene. I stood in the front doorway just maintaining the crime scene until I was tasked to do a neighborhood survey with the adjacent building next to it.
And what is the neighborhood survey?
Neighborhood survey essentially is what it is deputies will go and they'll knock on other doors or people that were close to the incident, such as neighbors, just to see if they want to do an interview and see if they heard anything, saw anything, just to gather more information.
And after you did that neighborhood survey, did that conclude your involvement in the case?
Yes, that was my conclusion. That concludes my involvement in the case after that neighborhood survey.
All right. Cross.
Morning, Deputy, how are you?
Good morning, ma'am. Good. How are you?
Oh, annoying voice, damn it.
At the time that this
Thank
happened, you
you.
indicated that you were in training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you were what, 2 days from being on your own?
Yeah, phase 4, day 5 to be precise.
All right. And Deputy Rainey, who was here in the hallway, and you've seen that was your FTO?
Yes, ma'am.
An FTO field training officer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you arrived about 10:33 to the scene, is that correct?
Approximately that time, yes, ma'am.
And I just want to talk to you very briefly about the lady that you saw outside. It's safe to say that you saw her pretty briefly, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, potentially just walking past her to get inside of the apartment, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you've never met her before, correct?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now, on your body cam there, I heard Mr. Bass talking about where the gun is, and I heard him talking about being on, and I also heard him say it's in the silver dresser. Do you remember both of those?
Yes, ma'am. I believe he made both those statements.
JKD Buck. Mo, if I had to hear this voice when I was in chemo, I would have stopped treatments and told the doctors I was done fighting. Absolutely. She sounds like she has a little bit of Minnesota in there, too. Holy goodness. Her voice is... Look, if we ever have a Noriega situation again, just play her talking. Look, I would surrender. You don't even need to pull out the Zydeco music. No offense to anyone in New Orleans or any Cajuns. Zydeco music, I don't know what it is, but it makes me Twitter-pated, okay? There needs to be an end to songs. That's why I don't like jazz either. We need to have an end to a song. There just needs to be an end. And we need to not, mess with it the entire time and take a 2-minute song and make it 45 freaking minutes long. Unless it's, Sweet Home Alabama or Freebird. Yes. Can we get the linebacker for the Bears back? At least her voice wasn't annoying.
Now, when you entered the scene, it looks like you're rendering aid. Is that with Deputy Vanderbosch?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you first entered, until you took over care, you and Deputy Vanderbosch of the son, JJ, blood was actually coming down from JJ.
This is the second time she's done this. What in the flippy flapjacks is she talking about the blood coming from his son's head? Why are you sticking that picture in the jury's head? I am convinced that this defense is actually on the state's side. You can't be this terrible. You cannot honestly be this horrible, can you? Why am I asking this question? It's Florida. Also, can we take a look at all the tchotchkes? So we've got her trip to the Grand Canyon here. Looks like empty photos here for her trip to Virginia Beach next. We've got Lady Liberty, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, more Lady Liberties over here, and another... This woman has tchotchkes just every damn where. This woman's voice.
Down to Mr. Bass and onto the couch, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I also heard Mr. Bass, he's saying, please now call the paramedics, please now. Do you remember that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, we see a pat down. Is that pretty much just standard because a gun is involved in this case?
It was standard, yes, because the firearm wasn't involved and we had not located it at that time.
And you did not find anything during that, correct?
No, ma'am.
We did find he doesn't know how to use a belt. Well, that was enlightening. We learned that he bled, and bleeding bleeds. And she's got a black background for the witness. This courtroom is the most redonkulous thing I've ever seen. And I saw paneling on top of linen plaster work at the last court.
Anything else?
Who is crinkling a wrapper?
All right, you can step down, thank you. Be released from his subpoena.
He is not, and I asked him to remain on this floor just for a little bit.
All right, you need to remain here at the courthouse for a little bit.
Oh,
Call your
wow.
next witness.
So they're having them stay in the courtroom. I don't know how many witnesses we're actually going to have from the state. I do know that there is a ton of forensic evidence, but if they're having them stay in the courtroom, this might be a shorter trial. I don't know. I did no research into this trial. I will do some and make a board, possibly tonight or tomorrow, to try to get us up to date, because this was, again, more of a whim thing than a plan thing. Okay, if she wore a bun, I can see why she doesn't wear her hair in a bun, because if she wore her hair in a bun, she'd be Miss Trunchbull from Matilda. She could probably deadlift me. Not that I'd ask her to try. Maybe a hammer throw into a trampoline, though. That would be fun.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, sir.
With that clerk asking me, I'm saying nothing but yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and all the truth, because she would make me get my own hickory stick. That voice says you pick your own hickory stick, and I don't need none of that, so I'm staying on my P's and Q's.
All right, thank you. Good morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
Good morning. My name is Deputy Jason White, Jasonwhite.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy, how are you currently employed?
I'm a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy
How long have you been working as Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy?
since June 2020.
What are your duties as a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy?
I'm a patrol deputy.
Okay, what do you do in that?
I respond to calls for service and then conduct proactive patrols.
All right, back on August 29th of 2022, what was your position back at that time?
I was a patrol deputy.
All right. And did you receive a call to respond to a scene out on Heritage Club Drive?
I did.
All right. Is that located here in Hillsborough County?
It is.
Okay. And how, were you close by the scene when you got the call?
Yes, I was.
All right. Was that kind of your general area where you worked as well?
Yes, it is part of my district area.
All right. And what was it your belief that you were responding to at that time?
A shooting.
Okay. And were you one of the first units on the scene?
Yes.
All right. As you arrived at the scene, did you see anyone on the outside?
I saw a woman.
Okay, and describe to the jury what this woman was like.
She was frantic and she was screaming towards the other deputy who I was with.
So you were riding with another deputy at that time?
There was another deputy who was in front of me.
Okay. So you all arrived kind of on the same time?
Yes.
And what deputy was that?
Deputy Jones.
All right. So who all enters into do you enter in the house?
Yes.
All right, who all enters in the house with you?
Deputy Jones.
Okay. And going back to that woman, did you have any involvement with her out there?
She was just yelling at us, so.
Okay, but you didn't actually speak to her or have any conversations with her?
We didn't really interact with her.
All right. So when you went into the residence, what were you doing?
We were checking to see what was going on, for one.
Okay. What did you see when you went in there?
There was a adult male sitting on the couch, and then there was a little boy in his arms.
All right. Did you have your guns out?
Yes.
All right. And what did you do at that point?
We began clearing the house.
Right. Explain to the jury what it means when you say you're clearing the house.
So we have to clear a house. We have to confirm that there's not someone in there that's still armed, that is still a threat, that if we start to render aid, someone else might come out and try to injure someone else while we're still there.
Okay. And so where did you go to clear the house?
We went to the staircase to go upstairs.
All right. And who all went upstairs?
Deputy Jones and I.
And
Oh, no.
Where did you go when you went up there?
I went into the kid's bedroom.
Where did Deputy Jones go?
He went into the master bedroom.
Describe to the jury, when you go in up the stairs, where is the kid's bedroom?
So when you go up the stairs, the kid's bedroom is directly in front of the staircase, and then you have a bathroom immediately to our left-hand side, and the master bedroom is behind us.
What did you see when you went into the kid's bedroom?
I saw blood on the floors and in the walls, and then I saw a bunk bed on my left-hand side.
And what did you do at that point?
I checked the room, and then I checked the bunk bed.
And what did you see in the bunk bed?
On the top bunk, I found a little girl.
And could you tell anything about the little girl?
She was laying on her side, facing towards me. She was laying in blood, and she had a bullet hole in the center of her forehead.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
I told the other deputies what I found, and I went to grab a med bag.
And those are another deputy already testified. Those are things you keep in everyone has in their all
Yes.
the deputies have in their cars, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you do that because the paramedics weren't there yet, right?
Yes.
All right. So you go down and get the med bag. Do you go back up?
Yes.
And what do you do when you go back up?
When I go back up, we started putting pressure on the wounds that she had until the medics arrived.
Were you wearing a body-worn camera on that day?
Yes.
All right. And I'm showing you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibit number 3.
Probably.
Did you review that and see that?
Yes.
I need to see how long this is projected to
Very
last.
accurately depict what you did when you first arrived on that scene?
Yes.
All right. Judge, I'm publishing.
All right.
House long to die in cold. No, I'm just kidding.
Hurry up! Sheriff's office! How many people are inside? Everybody else in here? Everybody upstairs? No. Hey, can you two go help him? We'll clear up here. Sheriff's office, anyone upstairs? Alright, we're going in here. Oh, what's going on? You see a fire? Sweetie! Hey, we got another one up here. Hey, we got another one up here.
Sorry, I was trying to look up. I don't have my silent.
That's clear. Let me grab my med bag. Hey, see the farm still up there with her? She's still breathing. Start holding pressure, we know the med.
All right, and what do you, at that time, is that when you go outside to get the med bag?
Yes.
And you actually brought it in?
Yes.
Okay. And you go back upstairs?
Yes.
All right. And at that point in time, had the paramedics arrived yet?
Not yet.
All right. Did they get there soon after?
Yes.
All right. After the paramedics arrived and took the little girl, what was your duties at that time? Or what was your position? What were you having to do?
Immediately after, I was just holding the scene upstairs.
Okay, what does that mean by holding the scene?
I'm standing up there, making sure no one who's not allowed to be in there comes up there.
Did you, once you were cleared out of the house, did you have any other involvement in the case?
Yes.
And what was that?
I was instructed to drive the mother to the hospital.
All right. And the mother, is that the woman we see on that video right there?
Yes.
The one who was screaming at the very beginning of the video?
Yes.
All right. And which hospital did you drive her to?
Tampa General.
And what was her condition on the drive?
She was frantic.
Okay. Did she say anything to you while you were driving?
I was stained.
Yeah, that would be hearsay. He can't
How
tell
was
her.
she when you got her to the hospital?
She
Demeanor, like, she was still the same, or?
she was still frantic. She was uncooperative with wanting to go in the hospital.
Okay. And she, when you say that, what do you mean by that?
She was scared to go in the hospital.
After getting her to the hospital, what did you do?
I left her with another deputy and then the hospital staff.
Okay. And was that everything that you did in this case, or did you ever go back to the scene?
No, I was ordered to go back to the scene.
Right. So after dropping her off at the hospital, at Tampa General Hospital in downtown, you drove all the way back up there to the scene?
Yes.
All right. And what did you do at that point when you got to the scene?
I was told I took the father from another deputy and placed him in the back seat of my truck.
Okay. And did you eventually transport him to the station?
I transported him to the district office.
To the district office? How was his demeanor on the entire time he was with you?
Calm.
Calm?
Yes, he was calm.
Did you do anything else on the case?
No.
You have 1 moment, ma'am?
Yes.
Let me push just for 1 second.
Sure.
All right, we are approaching. Sorry, guys. I am trying to change my thumbnail since I did start with the sovereign citizen thing to give people an accurate assessment of what they're doing or what they're coming into. Yeah, I miss my silent keyboard. It was very nice. I actually got another one because in theory, I know I have been totally teasing this, but in theory, my handy-capable room, I'll be able to stream from my bed. It does look like it.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, Stu. How are you, Deputy?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm only going to ask you some additional questions. All right. When you are entering, we can hear somebody saying, come in on your body cam. I presume that's Mr. Bass, correct?
Can we play the body cam again? I don't remember hearing it. I'll have to watch it again.
Okay.
I like that answer. Also, I want to thank this deputy. I hope and pray that little Jayla felt his kind hands and his concern as the last thing in this earth. I hope that, wherever she was, she knew that someone cared about her and was trying to take care of her. Because I can't imagine. I just can't. Yeah, we are right in the middle of the... I don't know why Court TV did this, unless that's where they were told they could set up.
You would ask to play body cam.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. No.
No, she's mad. She's like, oh, no. I'm going to be mad at you forever, passive-aggressively.
There we go. All right, I'll play it. And I'm just going to turn it off after you walk in, if that's okay.
Ma'am. Can you hurry up? Sheriff's office. How many people are inside?
Okay? Did you hear that?
I did.
All right. Does that refresh your memory now about somebody saying, come in, a male voice from inside the apartment?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. All right, there's some questions being asked when y'all have come into the townhouse. And a question is asked about, is there anybody else inside? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And Mr. Bass originally says no. However, you actually heard something else being said, did you not? And please tell the jury what you heard.
Yes, I heard him mumble something about a little girl as I walked by him.
In fact, you documented that in your report.
Yes.
When you went upstairs, the only question I want to ask you about concerning Jayla Bass is, you saw a shell casing by her foot?
Yes.
Just one, right?
There's one show.
But you're not looking for evidence at that point. You're trying to help her.
Correct.
Right, okay. Now, Mr. Bass was in your patrol vehicle for several hours, waiting to be transported?
He was back there for a long time, yes.
Okay, all right. And had you ever met him before?
No.
Okay. And you just have didn't give you any problems, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you also described him as being quiet, that he's very quiet. Is that fair?
Yes.
His demeanor. Okay. All right. May I have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you, Deputy White. No other questions.
Anything else? All right, you can step down. Thank you. Be released from his subpoena.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Call your next witness.
We'll call Deputy Nathaniel Jones.
Deputy Jones, we are actually getting through this fairly quickly. I haven't been able to find out how long this case is supposed to be, but I do appreciate the state not wasting the jury's time and being fairly...
Or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you, sir.
You come this way.
Good morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
My name is Deputy Nathaniel Jones, Nathaniel
Okay, this is ridiculous. If they have black hair, they fade into the background and it looks absolutely ridiculous. Who let her paint the background like a dark navy or black? It just looks surreal.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy, how are you employed?
I am employed with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
What is your job at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I am a law enforcement deputy.
Okay. Do you have any specific duties there as a member of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I am assigned to District 1 Patrol.
And as part of a patrol, you go out and you respond to scenes, you pull over traffic infractions, that sort of thing. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. What was your position back on August 29th of 2022?
I was in the same capacity as a patrol deputy.
How long have you been working with the Sheriff's Office at that time?
At that time, roughly 1 year.
All right. Prior to that, had you had any law enforcement training or experience?
No.
Okay. Now, did you receive a call to respond out to a scene on Heritage Club Drive?
Yes.
And what did you believe you were responding to?
I believed it was a 911 emergency call. The details of the call weren't, to my knowledge, given because of the open line status of the caller.
Okay. But you knew you were responding to shots being fired?
Yes,
Okay. And were you one of the first units on the scene?
correct.
When you pulled up, did you see anyone as you were walking up?
Yes.
What did you see?
I seen as I was driving up to the residence, I seen a male who was pointing in the direction of the residence, trying to guide me to the correct residence.
Okay. And then what did you see when you got to the residence?
Once I got to the residence, I seen a female exit the residence and approach me as I got out of my vehicle.
Okay. Did you have any involvement with her?
Yes. I had asked her, first she volunteered the information that her.
True, it is hearsay.
She's just arriving on scene. Well, what was her,
Establish a predicate.
yes. What was her demeanor at that time? What was her behavior like?
She was frantic.
Okay. And did she appear to be under an emotional stress of what had happened?
Correct.
Judge, I believe this would be considered an excited utterance.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. And so as you approached her, what was going on?
She was telling me that her son had been shot.
And what did you do when she said that? What did you do?
I tried to get information as to who had shot her son and if the person who had shot her son was still within the area.
Okay. And did she respond to you?
She was very frantic, but she just kept saying, "My son, my son, my son."
Okay. And did you go into the scene, into the apartment?
I did. I made that decision once I realized I wasn't gonna get any additional information to try and clear the scene.
All right. And were you one of the first ones into the apartment?
That is correct.
All right. And did you come with your guns drawn?
That is correct.
All right. What did you see when you went into the residence?
As I entered the front door of the residence, I seen a gentleman, adult male, and a juvenile male sitting on the living room couch.
Okay. Who all entered the residence with you at that time?
Deputy White and myself were the first two to enter the residence.
All right. After seeing that male holding his son, what did you do at that point?
I asked him if there was anyone else in the residence. I realized it was a two-story residence, so for safety of the deputies and everyone else, I asked if there was anyone else within the residence.
And what was his response?
He said no.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I then took the decision to clear the upstairs floor of that residence.
And so where did you go at that point?
I walked up the stairs and I seen that there.
I will say, Alice G., I think defendants are damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they're crying, then they're perceived as faking it or crying for the camera. And if they don't cry, then they're stoic. On this one, I don't think he gives two rats rah-rahs what happened to his kids. He just doesn't want to go and get in trouble for it. I think he was trying to punish his wife for whatever he thought she was doing. I don't know why he chose the children. We'll probably never know. Oh, my Lord. Yes, I do. I need to also learn. Well, you know what? I do like rum and Coke with lime. I am not going to lie, though. It's a lot more, Coke Zero than rum. But I do enjoy a good, isn't that called a Cuban? Heck, I don't know. I wish Jeff were still here. He knows all the fancy cocktail stuff. He was getting me out of being a boxed wine mom. Now I'm stuck in perpetual boxed wine mom stuff.
There were multiple bedrooms within the second floor. and me and Deputy White cleared the 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor.
And which bedroom did you clear?
I cleared the master bedroom first, along with the bathroom that was on that side of the upstairs floor.
All right. After clearing the master bedroom, what did you do?
I walked back to Deputy White's position where he was positioned
Thank
near
you.
the children's bedroom, and I entered the children's bedroom along with Deputy White.
All right, and what did you see in the children's bedroom?
I seen bunk beds, and on the top bunk bed, we located a victim.
All right. What was this victim? What did she look like?
The juvenile female victim.
Okay, so little girl.
Yes, sir.
And what was her condition that you saw when you first saw her?
When I first saw her, she was laying on her side, facing towards the inward of the bedroom, and she had what appeared to myself to be a gunshot wound to the head.
Were you wearing a body-worn camera on this day?
I was.
All right. Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 5. It's already been admitted into evidence. Did you review that video?
I did.
And is that video a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw when you went in on that day?
Yes.
All right, buckle up, guys. We're going to be listening to more horrible.
Judge just renewing again any evidence or testimony based on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I guess they must have an ongoing objection to this evidence coming in. I don't know. And again, thank you for all these first responders. You know, it does make it a little easier to know that Jayla was in the hands of people that cared for her and were trying to save her in the end. That's how I'm going to think about it, because if I think about it any other way, I'm going to need bail money, allegedly in Minecraft. But Florida is nice this time of year. I mean, I could get a tannish, go from porcelain to ivory. It could happen. Or a sunburn, and I can go to porcelain to lobster, which is more probably what's going to happen. Okay, we're going to fascinate this.
Who shot him? Who shot him?
It was the gun, it was the gun, it was the gun.
Did he shoot himself?
No, he did not. The gun went off. I mean, my son.
The ambulance is on the way.
What can you
Stay
fucking hurry up?
Stay outside. Sheriff's office. How many people are inside?
I'm taking it off just in case, okay, they didn't show JJ. I just didn't want you guys to see that.
Is there anybody upstairs? I'm gonna hook around this corner, go out there. Sheriff's office, anyone upstairs?
You put your back to the closet? Okay, I'm not an officer. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, they didn't show it.
You see your firearm? Free! Oh. Hey, we got another one up here. What the? There's a child up here. Single zero gunshot wound. That's clear. Let me grab my med bag.
Wait a second.
Hey, see the firearm still up there with her? She's still breathing. Yeah, we're out of here now.
She's breathing. There's a shell right here. I don't see it, signal 0.
Deputy, a couple of questions about that. So when the video starts, there's no sound to it. Is that common when these body-worn cameras?
That is correct. There is a buffering period prior to activation there's no audio.
There's like the first minute when the camera comes on, there's a where
Prior to the activation, there's no audio. So there will be video, but there will be no audio until I physically activate it myself.
Okay. Now, when you the signal 0 you all are talking about, what is that?
We're referring to a weapon. In this case, we're referring to a firearm.
So when they keep saying check for signal 0, you're talking about looking for basically the firearm, right?
The weapon used.
The weapon used, correct. All right. Now, the body-worn camera shuts off right there. At that point in time, what do you do?
Thank you.
From the end of the video, my body camera does continue to roll, but however, you're referring to
what you did
okay.
After that point.
After that point, I pulled the victim closer towards the middle to the bed where I could, easily reach her. Once she was towards the middle of the bed, I physically picked her up, and then I placed her on the bedroom floor in an effort to begin to render aid to the victim.
Okay. And so you were the one who actually physically got her off of that bed and put her down on the floor to give aid to her, correct?
That is correct.
And did Deputy White actually come back with the med bag?
Yeah, Deputy White returned with his medical bag, and I used some of the gauze that was within his medical bag to apply pressure to some of her wounds that were on her head.
Right. And did ultimately the paramedics arrive and take her?
That is correct.
All right.
Okay, we're going to pause here just a minute because I have this, and I think this is appropriate this time to go through this. This is the official obituary of Jayla Lavea Bass, born November 26, 2016, and passed away August 29th, 2022, age of 5. Jayla Bass. Miss Jayla Lavea Bass was born on November 26, 2016 in Tampa, Florida. She was the daughter of, I'm not saying his name, and Princess Bass. She passed away on August 29th, 2020 at the age of 5. Jayla was a kindergartner at Pizzo Elementary School, and she was a cheerleader with the B Elite All-Stars. Jayla loved butterflies. Her mother said her favorite foods were crabs, pasta, brownies, sweet tea, and cinnamon rolls for breakfast. Girl, same. This little girl had my palate. For her grandmother, Laquan, she said that she loved spending time with Jayla because she was so precious and lovable. Jayla is survived by her parents, her mother, J.J. Bass, her maternal grandparents, Rick and Sue, her paternal grandparents, Laquanza and Jermaine, uncles Prince, Romeo, Richard, Romeo, many people. This is the beautiful little girl that we lost. And I cannot convey to the bottom of my heart the gratitude I feel that Jayla's last moments were spent because she was breathing with people that were trying their best to save this little girl. She knew comfort, she knew human contact, and she knew that people cared about her at the end. And that's the only thing that makes this livable. But thank you so much, your first responders. I know you walk into the most terrible things for people, and you offer comfort to people that are passing on, and you guys are just angels on earth sometimes. You really are.
After the paramedics arrived and took the little girl, what was your assignment at that point?
I had went outside. My vehicle was the closest vehicle to the residence front door. Therefore, I was tasked with putting the defendant within my vehicle and holding him there.
Right. And what was his demeanor while in your patrol car?
He was calm within the back of my patrol car. We conducted a pat down on him prior to putting him in the patrol car, and he was compliant with us.
What else?
Because he'd already hurt his wife beyond belief. He had done his mission.
maintained the integrity of the crime scene log until I was relieved.
Okay, and what does that mean when you talk about maintaining the integrity of the crime scene?
We log everybody who had entered the crime scene and left the crime scene while we were on scene at that time for the crime until I'm relieved.
So by this point in time, you all had put up that yellow tape that you all put up?
That is correct. The tape had already been put up by the time I went back outside.
Okay. And it's your job at that point just to document who comes inside that tape and who doesn't. Well, not who doesn't, but who comes inside that tape, correct?
Yeah, who comes in and then leaves as well.
Right. And you did that until you were relieved of your duty on that day?
Until I was relieved the next morning at the end of my shift.
Okay. So you were there for a while?
I was there until the end of my shift the next morning, yep.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Judge, I'll pass the witness at this time.
All right. Good afternoon, Deputy.
Not the blonde again. Damn.
I'm doing
Not
well.
after that.
I just have some few additional questions for you.
Please, God, just a
At the
few.
beginning of the body cam, we understand you have that time period where you're always, that's policy, how you're always going to have that off, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you guys, don't, what is it, like a minute, that's standard that you do not record?
prior to activation. There's a buffering
Right.
period, yes.
Right, okay. And everybody does that, there's no issue with that, correct?
The way you're asking that question, there is an issue. Of all the passive-aggressive, cunty behavior, could we just say something? I'm past 3 hours. Ma'am, if you want to be aggressive, be aggressive. Don't be passive-aggressive. Oh, well, that's standard, isn't it? Oh, that's, bless your heart. You're just dumb. This woman would irritate the ever-living snot out of me.
Is there an issue with my camera buffering?
No, there's no issue with the fact that you don't hear anything.
I was wondering if this officer was super-de-duper mellow and like nothing shook him, or he was trying to portray that because this is a terrible case. But, sir, welcome to the Petty Express. We extend you a temporary conductor status. You can help run this train. You are a temporary conductor and a VIP member for life. The Petty Express welcomes you.
For the first minute or so, correct? That's typical.
It can
That's
be,
typical.
Okay, all right. All right, and when you first go to the residence, the door was cracked, was it not? It was not completely open, but kind of cracked open, correct?
That's correct.
And I could hear somebody saying, come in to you. That's going to be Mr. Bass, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said that somebody waved you down, some sort of male is trying to help you get to the scene where you were supposed to be, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And that's because you didn't even have an apartment number in the call, is that right?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And you indicated about the female that you talked to. You tried to talk to her, but she wasn't very helpful to you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you asked her numerous times who shot your child, and she never answered that question, correct?
Correct.
Because her fucking children had just been shot. I mean, I get defense, but this defense is about the most latent French to take Baker's saying I have ever heard in my entire life. And I swear to goodness, If she asks about, was the son bleeding on the father? Did the blood bleed on the father? When we do the nighttime catch up with this, because I have to leave fairly soon to pick up my boys, I am going to be drinking an adult beverage. I might stop at a store and get stuff to make a Cuban because this woman is driving me absolutely batty. I can't, please, dear court gods, we ask you much, good audio, people that don't suck, and lawyers that use the mic. But if you could please make this go very, very quickly for all of our sanities and eardrums. Thank you. Amen.
Now, Mr. Bass was cooperative with you during the time you had contact with him, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and he's going to be in your patrol vehicle for some period of time before he is transferred to another patrol vehicle. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay. And you had never met him before, correct?
that is correct.
And there wasn't any noticeable behavior. He was very quiet. Is that fair?
Yes,
And you're actually going to be the first deputy to enter that townhome, correct?
yes.
I wanted to ask you about your comment about Mr. Bass when you asked, is anybody upstairs? And he says, no one. As you're entering the residence, who are you with? What deputy is with you?
I believe Deputy White was behind me.
So you're with Deputy White, and you remember Mr. Bass, and we hear on the body cam, he says no. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
Ma'am, let me explanate. Now, I don't want to have to get the whiteboard out, mostly because I have a mountain of laundry in my room, or in Mr. Mo's room. But let me explanate something. So, the camera picks up everything and gets all of it. What the officer's actually taking in might be just a fraction of it. So just because he said it and it's on the video doesn't mean that the officer interpreted, internalized, and, used that information. We did this in the Theodore Edgecombe case. Just because a video picks it up doesn't mean that everyone perceived or actually saw what was going on. This woman picked the wrong one. I don't think she can rile this man. This man must have had like a drill sergeant mom. He is here for it. He is like, don't test me, ma'am.
And that is something that you did not document in your police report. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And your reports, you want them to be accurate and detail things you might have seen and heard, correct?
Yes.
Especially from somebody who's being charged with a...
Did this heifer just say especially? I know this bitch is not being condescending and acting like he has the intelligence of a dormouse. And then she said especially. Ma'am, if you want to condescend to everyone, you better have your P's and Q's and I's and T's and everything right, because you just said especially, and now I'm going to make fun of you for the rest of your natural life.
homicide, correct? You want to make sure you're documenting.
Yes.
Okay. So you're pretty quick, are you not? When you walk past Mr. Bash, you're not standing there to talk to him. You actually never stop walking and just walk past him to go upstairs, correct?
Yes.
And Deputy White is behind you, correct?
Yes.
So if Deputy White had heard something in addition to that, you may not have heard it, right?
That's correct.
Right, okay.
What in the Walmart rapture was that question? Yes, if you're not around and someone else hears something, you don't hear it. Congratulations, we've solved the mystery. We can go home. Don't call Nancy Grace. Don't call Nancy Drew. We've solved the problem. This woman is nutty. I did not think that we would find a lawyer worse than Lolly, but holy God. Nicholas Starro, can we do a class action lawsuit against this woman? Her voice and tone are deeply emotionally ridiculous. I can make a doll and point to my brain where she hurt me. I think it was the amygdala. if I'm honest, but it might be the hippocampus. This woman is ridiculous.
All right, may I have a moment?
Get the linebacker from the Bears. I don't want this blonde anymore. She uptalks. Nicholas, the questions in this case from the defense have been the most ridiculous things I have ever heard in my entire effing life. Hurry up, no one.
Deputy James, thank you very much. We don't have any further questions for you.
Anything else? All right, you can step down. Thank you. Is he released from his subpoena?
I'll allow it. I think we can do it. Crafting time with Mo, voodoo dolls.
Yes, Judge, he's released.
All right, thank you. Approach the bench for a minute. 15, I will see you back here at 1:15, same admonition, no discussion about the case, no investigation, enjoy your lunch.
All rise.
Okay, this is where I'm going to end it for right now. I do have to go pick up my boys in about 20 minutes, so I can clean the house for 20 minutes and have it look not like my children live here for about 2 minutes. I will be back this evening, probably around 6, to finish out today. This is becoming an interesting case, although it is a bit annoying. For those of you who just joined, this is the case of Jermaine Bass. He is accused of... Well, let me tell you the defense's side. The defense states that he was cleaning his force multiplier, as you do, right next to your children's bunk bed. Both children were in the bunk bed. This is an incredibly sad case. 5-year-old Jayla Bass passed away from a gunshot wound to her head. 8-year-old JJ Bass has survived. He did have a gunshot wound to his head. We do not know the extent of his injuries. The defense is claiming that he misplaced the magazine and somehow 5 shots magically discharged all together in a fairly close grouping and all toward the children after he got very mad at his wife for going out to a party for her sister. This case is a bit convoluted. It is a child case. I kind of jumped into this, but I will say that, the Petty Express is a place where we look at the hard cases. We can use dark humor, call, this jerk face a jerk face, and go through these cases together because little Jayla needs a voice. These are tough cases to watch, but I think the victims need, our voices too. So this is a safe place. If you have dark humor, a little bit of sarcasm, love snark and heart, this is where you come. I will put up that next stream for you guys, and we will finish up day 1, and then I'll probably have a roundup. Yes, I am copying Baker because he is awesome at this, and I want to be awesome too. But thank you all for joining me. I know these are tough cases, but it is a comfort for you guys to be here with me, and to let the victims have a voice is always a great thing. And to hear the stories. These aren't just cases. These aren't just names. These aren't just taglines. These are real human lives that we're watching. And, we need a place where we can do that with a little bit of dark humor and a whole lot of sass. So I will see you in a little bit. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but carry a can of bitch fire because kindness no longer means doormat. Bye, you guys. See you soon, guys.